So just like a superior automatically gets the glories of the services done by the subordinates, they should also take the blame for the mistakes done by them.
Yes, thank you. Any other? Lord gave a beautiful wife to Daksha. It is not a real benediction. So, doesn't mean that Lord wanted him to do sense gratification, but Daksha was already inclined to such kind of tendencies. So Lord gave him a which which kind of benediction? It's called
Sakapata
Sakapat
Kripa.
Kripa. So he gave.
Yes. And what is the original reason? Most important reason?
Desire. He has the
That
desire.
is superficial. I mean, that is there. Offense to Lord Shiva. That was the problem. That's why he cannot get Krishna Prem. Lord did not give him love for himself.
So, and when we serve the Lord, so all the material sufferings are there, they get reduced. When you do tapasya for the Lord, the sufferings get reduced. Like you gave the example of Pujari. So he was. So sufferings will be there, but when we do it, take the sufferings for the Lord's pleasure, then automatically the sufferings get reduced.
In fact, it's a bliss. It's what that Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, in Tomar Seva, Jadi Dukha Sahita Parama Sukha. Oh Lord, whatever distress, miseries, obstacles, and our hurdles, they are the source of greatest bliss. Others may feel this Prabhu suffered so much, but the Prabhu will not feel like that because Lord gives him special ecstasy. Yes.
Also, we were discussing about the glories.
One should be switched off, I think. Try now.
Hare Krishna. So, in the glories of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, holy name, we were also mentioning that it doesn't matter even sometimes the pronunciation, or even sometimes somebody may be having offenses, but still one should go on chanting. And never one should stop chanting the holy name.
Yes. Very bold. Hare Krishna.
You were discussing about Swabhav, that Swabhav does not change. So we should not
changes, but
slow.
slowly. And it may take long time. Meanwhile, others may suffer because they are not ready to adjust with that. But they should know how it is. And also, Swabhav can be engaged in the service of the Lord. That we did not discuss, I think, yesterday. Whatever is one's Swabhav can be engaged in the service of the Lord. Somebody may be very powerful. He wants to do a lot of things. So there is enough scope for him to render very powerful services. Somebody is small, one is Hanuman size, another is squirrel size. Both can do there. Just like bodies like that, Swabhav also, in psychophysical nature. Everything can be engaged in the service of the Lord. It takes the expertise and kindness, greatness of pure devotee, spiritual master, who sees this jiva, this disciple has particular Swabhav. So this is favorable for this way of rendering service. Let him do that. So everybody is so, but then other devotees should be little considerate, little broad-minded, little more forbearing. They should practice Krishna consciousness nicely so that they don't get disturbed by others' swabhav so much. Yes, your point.
So Prabhuji, we should not see the duality that this is good, this is bad. If we discuss like that, then we'll be falling into the duality of Maya.
If we discuss?
We should not discuss this Sabhav in the from 11th canto 28th chapter 1 that. If we discuss then we'll fall into the duality of Maya.
Yeah, if you praise others' swabhav or criticize it, then you yourself will fall in Maya. So don't do that. Empower yourself by taking the mic.
Ruji, this I'm remembering two prayers which Daksha offered, which repeated Hamsa Guhya prayers. One prayer was that he states that just like the sense objects cannot see the senses, Same way, we cannot see you, but because of you only we are able to do everything. And you are able to see us. This one prayer. And second prayer is he compares the Lord with three levels. Like that prayer says, senses and sense objects cannot see themselves, but the jiva can, the living entity can see them. Now that this jiva cannot see the Supreme Lord, but the Supreme Lord is able to see the jivatma. This
Yes. Yes. And then next two verses were there, which also talked about seeing the Lord. Durgeyam, Sugeyam, isn't it? We discussed yesterday, no? Through Jnana Marga, perceiving impersonal Brahman. And then Durgeyam is
Lord,
perceiving the Lord only directly, not so easy. Only Bhaktyamam Abhijanati, only by devotional service. Yes. Any other? Some other devotees, apart from those who spoke already. And online devotees, we are seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 devotees online. There may be more, but we are not able to see. Yes, Saroksham Prabhu.
We discussed the beautiful form of the Lord,
Hmm.
how his dress and his all the different arms, he is holding different things. So very beautiful form of the Lord.
Yes, that was revealed to
Daksha.
Daksha. Thank you. New devotees, Miss. I know you are Shrutidhar, but some other were in the range of Shruti yesterday. We are trying to see whether something comes from them. Yes, Hiro Maharaj Prabhu. We have got a volunteer in the form of Atre Prabhu. Atre Prabhu ki
If one want to return home back to Godhead, he has to refrain from sex life.
refrain from sex life. Yeah, that was in which context? It was in the purport. Huh? To procreate. Yes. The Lord is saying that you procreate. Here is a nice girl, a Sikni, the daughter of Panchajan. Panchajani. Huh? Her name is Panchajani. But in Prabhupada in the purport says one should refrain from sex life. Yes. Any other? Anmon Shambru, what are the notes saying? Give him very extensive notes.
That Yamaraj was telling that to whom to bring to me. What when one is not paying obeisances, or one is not just once Hare Krishna chanting Maha Mantra.
So basically three things: body, mind, and words. One who never thinks of me, thinks of the Lord. Yamaraj is saying, or Juha, not for the speaking. Yes.
So,
and that once has different meaning according to different acharyas. Once in lifetime, once in a year, once in a month, once in a week, once in a day. Like that.
So these
Yes.
people can bring.
Huh?
This can come. You can bring to this kind of people.
And should not bring,
Those who are like
not like those who are devotees. They are protected by the club of the Lord. Yes. Online, somebody. Very ball. चलिए. They are saying in a complete करो ना syllabus. कितना revision ले रहे. तो चलो आगे बढ़ते फिर.
Hare Krishna.
हाँ, Hare Krishna माता जी.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yesterday you have told about the.
Could you increase the volume, माता जी, of the system?
Okay. Yeah, increased. Is it okay now?
Better. Maybe hours we have to increase.
Oh.
Huh?
Okay.
ठीक है. Okay, माता जी, you speak. Let us see.
Yeah. So yesterday we have discussed about the association of spiritual master. We should get it from the instructions, following the instructions of spiritual master.
That was in which context?
It was like a association of a selfless. you asked the question also, okay, who is the selfless person you find? So the spiritual master is the one who is the selfless and the pure devotee. And we should get his association, not only the physical, but even through the instructions, his lectures. We should hear the lectures. So you told about the importance of hearing lectures of spiritual master.
Correct. Thank you, Mataji. Yes. Okay, Kirti Krishna Prabhu, you want to say? Huh? No, not him. Okay, chalo, we'll proceed ahead. We were discussing from 6th canto, 5th chapter, Narad Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha. Section 11 to 20, these 10 verses are about the Haryashva's understanding of that enigmatic instruction words. 11th we already saw. The Haryashvas understood the meaning of Narada's words as follows. The word Bhuhu, the earth, refers to the field of activities. The material body, which is a result of the living being's actions, is his field of activities, and it gives him false designations. Since time immemorial, he has received various types of material bodies, which are the roots of bondage to the material world. If one foolishly engages in temporary fruitive activities and does not look toward the cessation of this bondage, what will be the benefit of his actions? If you see that last words, last line remains more or less same everywhere. Kim asat karma bhir bhavet. Kim means what benefit? Asat karma bhi of this temporary fruitive activities. Bhavet, there can be. What could be the benefit of this temporary material, temporary fruitive activities? Everywhere, more or less, that last line remains the same. Okay, so we are continuing. 12th verse. Narad Muni had said that there is a kingdom where there is only one male. The Haryashvas realized the purport of this statement. The only enjoyer is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who observes everything everywhere. He is full of six opulences and fully independent of everyone else. He is never subject to the three modes of material nature, for he is always transcendental to this material creation. If the members of human society do not understand him, the Supreme, through their advancement in knowledge and activities, but simply work very hard like cats and dogs all day and night for temporary happiness, what will be the benefit of their activities? In the purport, Prabhupada says, Lord has been described as Turiya existing on the fourth platform, that Shushupti, Jagruti, Shushupti, Swapna, and Turiya. He is also been described as Abhava. The word Bhava, which means takes birth, comes from the word Bhu, to be. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, is neither Bhutva nor Praliyate. That Bhutva, Bhuta, Praliyate. Again and again, the living entities appear and they again disappear with the creation and with destruction, respectively. But the Lord is neither Bhutva nor Praliyate. He is always there. Krishna is not subjected to such changes of body. The six changes that every material body undergoes. The duty of the human being is to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Chakravartipad in his commentary says, this verse explains one kingdom with one person. Turiya refers to that fourth state, different from waking. Here, different words are there, not our normal one, Jagruti, Shushupti, Swapna, and Turiya. So for Jagruti stage, he's saying Vishwa. Turiya refers to that fourth state, different from waking, Vishwa, dreaming, Taijasa, and deep sleep states, Pragya. See, deep sleep states is Pragya. Generally, what is Pragya? Intelligence, Buddhi. So one of the functions of Buddhi is sleep. So one should get sound rest, sound sleep in the night. That means his Buddhi is steady, like that. If the sound sleep is not there, that means intelligence has some problem. So for sound deep sleep, the state is called a Pragya, and dreaming is Taijasa. Something similar words also come in the third canto. So that the Taijasa is Rajasic kind of. So when one has material desires, then the dreams will come in the night. So proper words there, Vishwa, wakeful state. We know the Vishwa around. I am Jagrut, so I know, okay, what is happening in the Vishwa around. So these words are nice words. I don't know where they originally come from. We'll have to find out some verse maybe there, but nice words. The kingdom is the universe. Abhavam means the Lord by whom samsara does not exist for the devotees. Not seeing the Lord means not perceiving him through worship. One should therefore worship him. So they understood this. One male there is the Supreme Lord. 13th. Narad Muni had described that there is a bila or hole from which having entered one does not return. The Haryashvas understood the meaning of this allegory. Hardly once has a person who has entered the lower planetary system called Patal been seen to return. Similarly, if one enters the Vaikuntha Dham, Pratyak Dham, he does not return to this material world. If there is such a place from which, having gone, one does not return to the miserable material condition of life, what is the use of jumping like monkeys in the temporary material world, and not seeing or understanding that place? What will be the profit? Kim asat karma bhir bhavet. So yesterday while reading, I came to know that even those who go to Patal don't come back so easily. This we come to know through the commentary also by Chakravarti Pad. Bhagavad Gita 15:6 Yadgatvana nivatanti. Going to spiritual world, the jiva does not come back to material world. Prabhupada quotes that Tyaktva deham punarjanmanaiti. Last line, what will be the benefit of taking birth again in this material world? Sometimes as a human being, sometimes a demigod, and sometimes a cat or a dog. What is the benefit of wasting time in this way? Krishna has very definitely asserted in Bhagavad Gita. Sorry, it is not the last line. I thought the purport is ending, but it is before Mam Upettu Kaunteya. Man Upettu Punarjanma. And the last line of the purport says, one's real concern should be to free himself from the repetition of birth and death and attain the topmost perfection of life by living with the Supreme King in the spiritual world. In these verses, the sons of Daksha repeatedly say, Kim asat karma bhir bhavet. What is the use of impermanent fruitive activities? So when we come across pure devotees, when we see them so happy in their Krishna conscious practices, they are not in this world. Their consciousness is not in this world. They are completely absorbed. And they are here just because Lord wants them to be here. Otherwise, they are very eager to be with the Lord. When we see such devotees, pure devotees, then we also develop that laulyam, intense greed. Otherwise, by seeing materialistic people, we develop intense greed to be here, to go after worldly possessions, worldly superficial enjoyment. There is no enjoyment there, but in illusion, one can, so to say, have some enjoyment. So it depends on whom do we make our role models, who are there in the front of our eyes. That means in front of our eyes of the heart. So we should have, because he's saying one's real concern should be to free himself from the repetition of birth and death and attain the topmost perfection of life by living with the Supreme King in the spiritual world. All of us can see when we were in the material world, devotees came in our life, they were trying to pull us. How many of you had reluctance? We were like, material life जा रहा है मेरे हाथ से, ये लोग मुझे खींच रहे. How many of you felt that struggle? Only me and him, huh? Only two of us. And he is, Atre Prabhu is also, and nobody else, only three of us. Others did not feel. You are all pure devotees, I think, like Shukdev Goswami running for Krishna. But at least I could see that material life is going away. All that desire to top in engineering, university, and go for higher education and highest education. Obviously, the highest education is Bhagavad Gita Bhagavatam only. But that time in illusion, something else was considered to be highest, PhD, triple PhD, and all that stuff. So that was happening. But then simultaneously, we were seeing pure devotees and we were going crazy. Especially, I was very fortunate to get unlimited association of my spiritual master, His Holiness Radhan Swami Maharaj, in 1998, just when I was in third year also. So by Krishna's amazing grace, I got unlimited association. Every weekend, I was going to Gopinath temple. And lot of embraces, lot of lectures, lot of dancing kirtan, with running dhai tava pache pache. So that made the whole world remain far, far behind. The material world remained far behind. And it's like with pure devotee, you have reached Golok Vrindavan only. That kind of thing. It was amazing, out of the world experience like that. So that just like the Narada boy in the association of pure devotee Bhakti Vedantis, he developed that Laulyam like that. All of us also develop that. I'm just telling about myself because I know about myself. Like every one of us must have seen how we were being like uprooted from material life. Especially becoming brahmachari means almost you got uprooted from material life and you got implanted or whatever you call transplanted in this ashram, brahmacharya ashram. So some pure devotee or pure devotees, we're going behind them and we could forget material world. It remained behind, no problem. All materialistic friends and all, they went in the direction of higher education. They went after money. They went after prestige, relatives going for sense gratification, cousin brothers getting married, cousin sisters getting married, even our nephews getting married little later, all that. But we never got distracted because pure devotees, their association. साधु संग सर्वशास्त्र कोय लव मात्र साधु संगे सर्व सिद्धि होय. So that is a fortune Prabhupada has created for all of us. So here commentary will reveal about Patal also something. Chakrutipa says this verse explains the whole from which one does not return. Having gone to the abode of the Lord, one does not return. Just as one does not return from Patala, since one becomes attached to its enjoyment. What is the use of the ignorant person performing karmas? He should strive to attain Vaikuntha. So Patal also is something like that. You have seen photos, I think, in that, what they call, that Danvir Maharaj cosmology. You have seen photos of cosmology. So they show lower planetary systems. And in that, a man is there and surrounded by several women. And I think he's also having some, something like some beverage, something wine. Somras is in Chandralok. This is lower planetary system. Some other beverage, some, huh? Huh? Atal also it is there. Aja. Kamini. Okay, okay, no problem. Some juice means? कौन सा? Okay, some juice means some beverage. आटे का HATAKE अटक के, ठीक है, हटके ठीक है, थोड़ा हटके ही अपर एंड लोअर मिडल प्लैनेटरी सिस्टम से थोड़ा हटके नीचे के प्लैनेट में. ओके, ठीक है, जो भी हटक के, no problem. So there also that so much enjoyment is there, one seems to be not coming back. That's what Acharya Pad has, Ms. Chakroti Pad has told. Okay, 14th. Narad Muni had described a woman who is a professional prostitute. The Haryashvas understood the identity of this woman. Mixed with the mode of passion, the unsteady intelligence of every living entity is like a prostitute who changes dresses just to attract one's attention. If one fully engages in temporary fruitive activities, not understanding how this is taking place, what does he actually gain? Read the purport. This will read because our intelligence troubles us. She's like a prostitute, this woman. Who has the mic? Yes.
Polluted intelligence has been compared to a prostitute.
Where are you from? Reading from?
Purport. A woman who has no husband declare herself independent, which means that she becomes a prostitute. A prostitute generally dresses herself in various fashions intended to attract a man's attention to the lower parts of her body. Today, it has become a much advertised fashion for a woman to go almost naked, covering the lower parts of her body only slightly, in order to draw the attention of a man to her private parts for sexual enjoyment. The intelligence engaged to attract the man to the lower parts of the body is the intelligence of a professional prostitute. Similarly, the intelligence of a living entity who does not turn his attention towards Krishna or Krishna conscious movement simply changes dresses like a prostitute. What is the benefit of such a foolish intelligence? One should be intelligently conscious in such a way that he need no need no longer change from one body to another. Karmis change their profession at any moment, but Krishna conscious person does not change his profession. For his only profession is to attract the attention of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and living very simple life without following a daily change of fashion. In our movement, Krishna conscious movement, fashionable persons are taught to adopt one fashion, the dress of Vaishnava with a shaved head and tilak.
Rivol.
They are taught to always clean in mind, dress, and eating in order to fix in Krishna consciousness. What is the use of changing one's dress? Sometimes wearing long hair and long beard, and sometimes dressing otherwise. This is not good. One should not waste his time in such a frivolous activities. One should always be fixed in Krishna consciousness and take cure of the devotional service with firm determination.
One brahmachari was asking me how he can speak so frankly. That I told about plane, the boy and girl kissing, embracing, like that. Because here you see how Prabhupada is speaking very frankly about our unsteady intelligence is like prostitute, and she dresses herself in various fashions intended to attract a man's attention to the lower part of her body. Today it has become a much advertised fashion for a woman to go almost naked, covering the lower part of her body only slightly in order to draw the attention of a man to her private parts for sexual enjoyment. The intelligence engaged to attract a man to the lower part of the body is the intelligence of a professional prostitute. So Prabhupada is very direct, very open. So I told also that Brahmachari, because of reading Prabhupada books and hearing from Acharyas. So there is nothing to hide. Once, in fact, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was asked that you devotees, you speak so much about sex life. Huh? You say no illicit sex, but you talk about sex life so much. Then the answer given was, we speak to understand dangers and all that. We never involve into it. Whereas so many people who don't speak about illicit sex and all that, but they get into it, they involve. In fact, outside extramarital affairs also. So we scriptures are open. Nothing is hidden like that. Okay, in the commentary, Chakravarti Path says, this verse explains the woman with many forms. The intelligence is absorbed in material pleasures, Swairini, not in Krishna, and is endowed with qualities like beauty, grace, and learning. What is the use of insubstantial karmas performed by a person who does not consider or know the intelligence, attraction, or beneficial or detrimental objects? By discrimination, one should place one's intelligence in Krishna. So that prostitute is compared to our unsteady intelligence. So intelligence should become steady. That means intelligence is attracted only to Krishna, not to sense gratificatory thoughts. 15th. Narad Muni had also spoken that should be switched off, I think. Which one is switched on? Raghu Prabhu? Could you switch off that? Some echo is coming. Narad Muni had, or maybe it's probably switched off, no? This one? Narad Muni had also spoken of a man who is the husband of the prostitute. The Haryashvas understood this as follows. If one becomes the husband of a prostitute, he loses all independence. Similarly, if a living entity has polluted intelligence, he prolongs his materialistic life. Frustrated by material nature, he must follow the movements of the intelligence, which brings various conditions of happiness and distress. If one performs spiritual activities under such conditions, what will be the benefit? So the husband of the prostitute. Okay. Prabhupada in the purport says, polluted intelligence has been compared to a prostitute. One who has not purified his intelligence is said to be controlled by that prostitute. 2.41 Vyavasayatmika Buddhir. Those who are actually serious are conducted by one kind of intelligence, namely intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Bahushakaya Anantascha Buddhaya Vyavasayanam. One who is not fixed in proper intelligence discovers many modes of life. Thus, involved in material activities, he is exposed to the different modes of material nature and subjected to varieties of so-called happiness and distress. If a man becomes the husband of a prostitute, he cannot be happy. And similarly, one who follows the dictations of material intelligence and material consciousness will never be happy. One must judiciously understand the activities of material nature. Judiciously means wisely, headily. Then ahead, Prabhupada, after quoting Prakriti Kiremanani, although one follows the dictations of material nature, he happily thinks himself the master or husband of material nature. Scientists, for example, try to be the masters of material nature life after life. They are imitations gods who declare to the public that scientific advancement will one day be able to avoid the so-called control of God. In fact, however, the living being unable to control the rulings of God is forced to associate with the prostitute of polluted intelligence and accept various material bodies. Purusha Prakritistohi. In the commentary, Chakravarti says, this verse explains the man who is attached to the woman. The jiva in the material world, samsarantam, is like a householder with an unfaithful wife. Abudhasya, abudhasya should be ajanataha. What is the use of insubstantial karmas performed by a person who does not know his destination, such as Swarga or hell? 16th. Narad Muni had said that there is a river flowing in both directions. The Haryashvas understood the purport of this statement. Material nature functions in two ways, by creation and dissolution. Thus, the river of material nature flows both ways. A living entity who unknowingly falls in this river is submerged in its waves, and since the current is swifter near the banks of the river, he is unable to get out. What will be the benefit of performing fruitive activities in that river of Maya? Prabhupada in purport says, one may be submerged in the waves of the river of Maya, but one may also get free from the waves by coming to the banks of knowledge and austerity. And then after Srushti Sthiti, he says, when one falls in the river of Nishans, he is always tossed here and there by the waves. But the same Maya can also save him when he surrenders to Krishna or becomes Krishna conscious. Krishna consciousness is knowledge and austerity. So the two banks are compared to knowledge and austerity also. If we do that a lot, then we can get out. And last line says, one must understand how Maya works and how one can be released from the tossing waves of the river of nescience. That is one's first duty. In the commentary, Chakravarti says, at the time of creation, the elements flow out one after the other. From that Mahat Tattva, these elements come out. And at the time of destruction, they enter in reverse order. You know, first what comes out? Pradhan, then Mat Tattva, then that is all over. So now what? Elements come out from subtlest to grossest. The last is earth. And then also in the reverse order. Earth will enter into water. Water will get into fire. Fire will get into air. Then air into ether. And then into mind and intelligence also go like that in the reverse order. So that's what is the river is flowing in both directions. Understood, na? In creation, all elements come out. In destruction, all elements go in. Vela means a bank or water. Thus, Vela Kulanta means near the bank. The river flows quickly near the bank. For those who have fallen in Sansara, the place to get out refers to austerity and knowledge. But Maya flows quickly there with prominent anger and ego. So these are the problem also. To prevent the person from getting out. Knowledge and austerity is there, but then what is the problem? He will fall prey to anger and ego. When he performs austerities, he will become angry. We saw in the case of Prachetas also. And when he performs, when he has knowledge, he will have ego. So if he tries to come out through this knowledge and austerity, through Gyan and other processes, then there will be problem for him. He will fall prey to one of the two, either anger or ego. But Bhakti produces two children, Gyan and Vairagya. They will not produce that effect of getting proud or ego, getting anger. to prevent, I'll read that statement again. Maya flows quickly there with the prominent anger and ego to prevent the person from getting out. Kruta Vegam and Vegitam are the two versions. Mattasya means the person has no control because of the speed. What is the use of insubstantial karmas performed by a person who does not discern Maya? Giving up material possession, you should strive to cross over Maya. How many of you understood this? What was told here? Others? Not yet. So he's saying this material nature is the river which is flowing in both directions. So in creation, elements come out, and in destruction, elements go in. तो ऐसे आए ऐसे गए तो दोनों दो दिशा में घूम रहा है. That river is flowing in both directions. In one sense, yes, also, because some elements are getting destroyed. But if you see the whole thing as a whole thing, then it is like ऐसे बह रहा है अभी वो, लेकिन जब डिस्ट्रक्शन होगा तो वो ऐसे भी बहेगा. So that way, like that. ऐसे कोई रिवर नहीं ना इस संसार में, ऐसे बहता तो ऐसा ही बहेगा. North to south means north to south only, or south to north some river is flowing. It will be always flowing south to north only. But this river of creation and destruction, this material nature does like that. And now if somebody is trying to get out of this, to get out of the cycle of birth and death, so what is the problem? Near the bank there is swifter current. He cannot come out. And the current, what is that current of? So the process, the two banks are compared to knowledge and austerity. But that's where what will be the problem of ego and anger. And thus he cannot come out. And then we discussed also in bhakti how one can come out. Bhakti is different. That jnana and vairagya is different. Then 17th. Narad Muni had said that there is a house made of 25 elements. The Haryashvas understood this analogy. The Supreme Lord is the reservoir of the 25 elements, and as the Supreme Being, the conductor of cause and effect, he causes their manifestation. If one engages in temporary fruitive activities, not knowing that Supreme Person, what benefit will he derive? Lord is the reservoir of 25 elements. In the purport, Prabhupada says Bhaktyamam Abhijanati. In the commentary, Vishwanath Shakti Thakur writes, this verse explains the house made of 25 elements. Vishnu is an astonishing mirror. The devotees offer to Vishnu the 25 elements such as Chitta. One he is discussing, Chitta. So Vishnu is mirror, astonishing mirror, and the devotee offers to Vishnu 25 elements such as Chitta. Entering Vishnu, when Chitta enters in Vishnu, they become pure, spiritual and eternal. Our Chitta should enter in Vishnu, Krishna. Giving up the nature of reflections, they take on the qualities of Vishnu, the mirror. Generally, if your reflection falls in the mirror, it doesn't get purified. But here, if our Chitta enters in Vishnu, Chitta will be purified. So that's why he's astonishing mirror. Vishnu is not just compared to a mirror, but an astonishing mirror. That is the astonishing quality of Vishnu as a mirror. Normal objects seen in a normal mirror are simply reflections of those objects and do not take up the purity that is in the mirror. What is the use of karmas performed by a person who does not know Vishnu, Adhyatmam, existing in the Atma as the object of worship? Therefore, you should offer body and soul to the Supreme Lord. 18th. Narad Muni had spoken of a swan. That swan is explained in this verse. The Vedic literatures, Shastras, vividly describe how to understand the Supreme Lord, the source of all material and spiritual energy. Indeed, they elaborately explain these two energies. The swan, Hamsa, is one who discriminates between matter and spirit, who accepts the essence of everything, and who explains the means of bondage and the means of liberation. The words of scriptures consist of variegated vibrations. If a foolish rascal leaves aside the study of these Shastras to engage in temporary activities, what will be the result? Prabhupada in purport. The Krishna consciousness movement is very eager to present Vedic literature in modern languages in Western countries, English, French, German, all the languages. The entire world is imitating the materialistic civilization of the West. Therefore, Krishna consciousness movement is very much interested in giving the Western people knowledge by translating the original Sanskrit Vedic literatures into Western language. The people of the West are seeing their students becoming hippies despite George's arrangements for university education. The Krishna consciousness movement, however, is trying to convert misguided, drug-addicted students to the service of Krishna and engage them in the best welfare activities for human society. So Shastras, that swan, is compared to the Vedic literature, Shastras. So swan has the ability to separate milk from the mixture of milk and water. Neera kshira samaye hamsa hamsaha baka bakaha. Both baka, the duck, and hamsa, both are white. Both appear alike, quite similar. But when the mixture of water and milk is given to both of them, each one of them, then the baka will drink the whole mixture with water. But hamsa will drink only milk. And what will remain behind? Water. So like that, one develops discriminating power by reading scriptures, shastras. So that is that swan. One will understand this is bondage, path of bondage, and this is path of liberation. In the commentary, Vishwanath Thakur Pad says, this verse explains the meaning of the swan who speaks. Swan who speaks. The swan refers to scriptures which speak about the Supreme Lord. Bondage and liberation are illustrated by attractive talks. This is the meaning of Chitra Katham. The swan refers to having the ability to distinguish Atma from non-Atma. Just as the swan distinguishes milk from water, the inflected words are endowed with proper conclusions, Vivikta Padam. Taking faith in the scriptures, worship the Lord in order to attain liberation. Are you all getting little technical? But by the commentary help, somewhat becomes easy. Is it okay? Anyway, it was for Harishwas who went for perfection. In one sense, we have already come to ashram. So no problem. But still, in the exam, we may have to write some of these things. But not big problem anyway. 19th. Narad Muni had spoken of a physical object made of sharp blades and thunderbolts. What could it be? Time. The Harishwas understood this allegory as follows. Eternal time moves very sharply, as if made of razors and thunderbolts. Uninterrupted and fully independent, it drives the activities of the entire world. If one does not try to study the eternal element of time, what benefit can he derive from performing temporary material activities? Prabhupada says in Hindi lecture, समय सबको चुप प्रकृति यानी सबको चुपचाप बूढ़ा बना देती है. Time, isn't it? With the passage of time, all of us can see now. Some hair must be white, isn't it? Few like that. Yeah, brahmachari shave head many times not understandable, but some grow a little bit. Even in beard, there will be some white hair like that. Some wrinkles, something, hearing deficiency, teeth becoming loose. Time is acting on everyone. And Prabhupada quotes, time and tide, wait for none. Ayusha shana ekopi na labhet swarna koti bihi na chen nirarthakam nitihi kacha hanis tato adhika. Even a moment of one's lifetime could not be returned in exchange for millions of dollars. Therefore, one should consider how much loss one suffers if one wastes even a moment of his life for nothing. Living like an animal, not understanding the goal of life, one foolishly thinks that there is no eternity and that his lifespan of 50, 60, or at the most 100 years is everything. This is the greatest foolishness. Time is eternal, and in the material world, one passes through different phases of his eternal time, of his eternal life. Time is compared here into a sharp razor. A razor is meant to shave the hair from one's face, but if not carefully handled, the razor will cause disaster. One is advised not to create a disaster by misusing his lifetime. One should be extremely careful to utilize the span of his life for spiritual realization or Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So one has to be careful. In the commentary, Chakravarti says, the wheel of time is described as having razors or thunderbolts because time gives fear. It is described as rotating because time is always moving. It is described as sharp because it destroys harshly. Why do you not worship the Lord, since tomorrow or the next day you will die? So different things about time. having razors, thunderbolts, rotating, and sharp. Okay, 20th. Narad Muni had asked how one could ignorantly defy one father. Just one thing, I have invited my relatives, some 10 of them have come, some will come. I have invited here only. I beg forgiveness. So some of you will have to shift here when they come. When they come, till then, no problem. The Haryesh was understood the meaning of this question. This is about Narad Muni had asked how one could ignorantly defy one's own father. One must accept the original instructions of the Shastra. According to Vedic civilization, one is offered a sacred thread as a sign of second birth. One takes his second birth by dint of having received instructions in the Shastra from a bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, Shastra scripture is the real father. All the Shastras instruct that one should end his material way of life. If one does not know the purpose of the father's orders, the Shastras, he is ignorant. The words of a material father who endeavors to engage his son in material activities are not the real instructions of the father. So Narad Muni had also asked, how can you defy ignorantly your own father's instruction? So who is the father, real father? Scriptures here. In the purport, Prabhupada has given long purport, pravrutti and nivrutti, work to be done and work not to be done. Living entities trying to lord it over material nature. That is pravrutti marg, and nivrutti marg advises living this sense gratification. Lord Buddha advises that one achieve nirvana by giving up the materialistic way of life. Bible also says one should cease materialistic life and return to the kingdom of God. In the Vedic Shastra also same advice is given. One should give up the materialistic life and return to his original spiritual life. Shankaracharya also propounds the same conclusion. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. So everywhere same thing. Nivrutti Marg is basically advised. Then in second paragraph, Krishna personally advises that one give up all other duties, sarvadharman parityaja. In the third paragraph, last line, these four types of engagement will enable an intelligent person to get free from the materialistic life and return home back to Godhead. That meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication. No to all that. That will help one to be free from material life. Then I had fourth paragraph. In every form of life, birth after birth, the living entity gets a father and mother. Only in human society, however, if one is satisfied with his material father and mother and their instruction and does not make further progress by accepting a spiritual master and being educated in the Shastras, he certainly remains in the darkness. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur also says that Janme Janme Sabe Mata Pita Pai. In every life, one gets mother and father. But Guru and Krishna, when does he get? That is only in human form mainly. That also not in all human forms anyway. By the grace of the Supreme Lord, one may get Guru. And by Guru's grace, one may get the Lord. The material father and mother are important only if they are interested in educating their son to become free from the clutches of death. Otherwise not. So one has to train. Many times the parents train the way children. I was telling one devotee that I went to one center of our Pune satellite center, which is coming up nicely. They may have eventually temple. So I went there recently and I asked children were there. So what do you want to be in future? It was Narsimha Leela. They were celebrating Narsingh Chaturdashi. So he said, I want to be engineer. I said, next child, what do you want to be? So I want to be pilot. Next, what do you want? I want to be lawyer. What do you want to do? 5 children I asked and everybody said that. I said, oh, this is not the proper training at all. These children are not trained properly. So the leader understood there, our Saffron Brahmachari. He immediately, something they did, and one girl stood up, small girl. I said, what is your ambition? She said, I want to become a devotee. I said, ha, Haribol, very good. So I said, out of 6 children, 5 failed. So the strength of this center is only 17-18%. And 72% this center is very weak like that. Because the children, they are trying to become tired engineers, pilots, and all that. And they were all laughing, and the leader was also a little embarrassed in one sense. Point was not to embarrass him, but basically that should be the training. Even in our congregation, you ask children, what do you want to be? Likely they will say, no, mujhe engineer banna hai, mujhe doctor banna hai. Who will be the child who will say? Huh? Now he heard the whole thing. He will tell everything should have been asked before. Now he will perfectly. What do you want to be in future? Direct brahmachari. He wants to be brahmachari in future. आधा हो गया है नहीं, आधा भी हो गया क्योंकि नीचे व्हाइट है ऊपर सैफरन है तो दोनों मिडल में है। आपकी कृपा से पूरा सैफरन हो जाएगा वो जल्दी से so many times that is not there material father and mother are important only if they are interested in educating their son to become free from the clutches of death. Similarly, our congregation is very weak congregation. If all their training to their children is beta kaise अच्छे से engineer बनो, if possible go to US for MS and settle very nicely, do MBA, do PhD. If this is what they are guiding them, then that is very weak congregation. And also brahmacharis also should not be guiding congregation. Prabhu, make sure your son studies nicely. He should score top in the academics and become very big devotee. प्रभु जी ट्रिगर हो गया अभी वही तो so that means brahmacharis are very weak brahmacharis. They are misguiding the congregation and the misguided congregation is misguiding their children. Next generation is spoiled already. This is utter waste of human life. If you are trying to become doctor, engineer, lawyer, and whatever else, it's all foolishness. We have gone through that. We know how Jiva ke karaye, gadha. All this materialistic education made a big ass out of me. बड़ा donkey बन गया महा गधा बोझा उठा रहा हूँ पूरे कंपनी का एम्प्लॉय के रूप में. So one should not train children like that. One should train आगे जाके शुद्ध भक्त बनना है. अभी भक्त बनो अच्छे से. और मटेरियल एजुकेशन एंड ऑल डोंट वरी, जो है नसीब में हो जाएगा. So one should be very clear. In fact, Jagannath Mishra also guided Sachi Devi like that, isn't it? Sachi Devi was concerned, अरे आपने हमारे बेटे का निमाय का education stop. How will he get a good livelihood and who will give a girl marry? Who will marry his daughter to our son? Then Jagannath Mishra gives his own example. I'm so learned and all that, but I hardly have money with me. And so many, what you call, foolish brahmanas, they don't have any education and they are having a lot of wealth. So all this is not dependent on mundane education. But father, that's why Prabhupada says, this book is dedicated to my father, Gaur Mohan Dey, who was a pure devotee, who trained me from childhood in pure devotional service. Then miss all glories to Mother Rajani also, certainly nice. But Father Prabhupada glorifies everywhere. In Bhagavad Gita also you can see that Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe. Prabhupada says, I was born in such one yogi family, devotee family. And later on I met my spiritual master, Divine Grace, Bhakti Thakur, who was also pure, by the arrangement of the Lord. So one should have father like that, one should have mother like that. So all otherwise, what is the use of being, a very well qualified congregation initiated, second initiated devotee, disciple in Guru Parampara, ISKCON, and training children for a doctor, engineer, and all that. Becoming big donkeys. By Krishna's grace, they will become doctor, engineer. That is not to be focused. Main focus should be on spiritual life. The material father and mother are important only if they are interested in educating their son to become free from the clutches of death. Then ahead he says, only a father and mother who can elevate their son to the spiritual platform are bona fide parents. And all others are fake parents, bogus parents. So they should elevate their son to spiritual platform. They are only bona fide parents. The purpose of life is to become Brahman, a first class man. In the ahead paragraph, Prabhupada says, becoming a Brahman through the endeavors of a bona fide spiritual master is called samskar. Janmana jayate Shudra, he quotes. So samskar means becoming a Brahman by the endeavor of spiritual master. Prabhupada, before quoting Yah Shastra Vidhi Mustujja, the paragraph before, he says that in Krishna conscious movement spreads, the so-called businessmen will have to close their slaughterhouses, breweries, and cigarette factories. Therefore, they are also very much afraid. However, we have no alternative than to teach our disciples to free themselves from materialistic life. We must instruct them in the opposite of material life to save them from the repetition of birth and death. So all of us have to be very careful. We should become guides and not misguides. we should become teachers and we should not become cheaters. If we are teaching and guiding others, have a very nice material life, और साथ में थोड़ा थोड़ा भक्ति भी करो. Material life अच्छा होता है तो भक्ति अच्छा होता है. If we are teaching like this, we are bogus, we are misguides. We are not cheaters. We are not teachers, we are cheaters. We should only 100% focus on spiritual life and material life will be taken care of. No need to worry. In the commentary, Chakravarti Pas says, this verse explains, you do not know the order of your father. The father is not the person who impregnates, but the scriptures. That order of that father is to stop material existence, not to continue it. If you do not know this instruction to stop material life, how can you commence to follow its instructions? You have faith in the instruction to follow the path of material enjoyment, guna vishrambhi. You should follow the real order of your father and father, the scripture, to spread the path of renunciation. You do not incur sin by not following the instructions of Daksha, which are not according to the purport of the scriptures, since he is not a real father. Therefore, taking Vishnu mantra from me, sitting in a quiet place, worship Vishnu. This is the indication. So very clear. Narad Muni is the best teacher. 21st. Shukdev Goswami continued, my dear king, after hearing the instructions of Narada, the Haryashvas, the sons of Prajapati Daksha, were firmly convinced. They all believed in his instructions and reached the same conclusions. Having accepted him as their spiritual master, they circumambulated that great sage and followed the path by which one never returns to this world. Purport. From this verse, we can understand the meaning of initiation and the duties of a disciple and spiritual master. Not just taking mantra by paying something. Prabhupada says, the spiritual master teaches the disciple how to give up materialistic life. And the disciple's duty is to assimilate his instructions and ultimately follow the path back home, back to Godhead, from whence no one returns to this material world. So Haryashvas, they decided not to be entangled in materialistic life by begetting hundreds of children and having to take care of them. This would have been unnecessarily entangling. The Haryashvas did not consider pious and impious activities. In the commentary, Chakravarti Pas says, Vivasita means they were entirely convinced. They all had the same opinion. Circumambulating means that they accepted Narada as Guru, drank his foot water, and offered full obeisances as well. 22nd. The 7 musical notes. Here, Saregama we say, but here it is written the way, Sha, Ru, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha, and Ni. Same? Different it is. But whatever, we know Saregama Pada Nisa, but here it is whatever. Are used in musical instruments, but originally they come from the Samaved. The great sage Narada vibrates sounds describing the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. By such transcendental vibrations such as Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He fixes his mind at the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus he directly pursues Rishikesh, the master of the senses. After delivering the Haryashvas, Narad Muni continued traveling throughout the planetary systems, his mind always fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. Prabhupada very surprisingly had given the whole song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narad Muni Bajai Veena. And then in the last paragraph, Prabhupada says, the members of this disciplic succession, Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya, should go everywhere to deliver the fallen souls by vibrating the Hare Krishna mantra and the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. That means street Sankirtan and book distribution. Prabhupada is saying this should be done all over the world. That's why we requested His Grace Sudhamanath Prabhu to start world traveling Sankirtan party. Should be started at the earliest. And maybe Jugal Shyam Prabhu may also join. So this should be there everywhere. Dindi mein ud jati hai dandi. But Dindi is also good to begin with. They will go because PTC has to go. They are the in charge. They will lead by themselves being in the forefront. Both of them. The immediate spiritual master is the representative of Narad Muni. So we should preach. 22nd, Chakravarti Pas says, Narada drowned in an ocean of bliss thought, oh, all these persons were delivered from hell. I will glorify the Lord using my Veena. He was absorbed in the lotus feet of Krishna, who attracts all the senses, Rishikesh, and who was revealed when he sang his pastimes in 7 notes of spiritual sound. 23 to 35, these 13 verses talk about the Shavalasvas follow the path of the Haryashvas. 23rd, the Haryashvas, the sons of Prajapati Daksha, were very well behaved, cultured sons. But unfortunately, because of the instructions of Narad Muni, they deviated from the order of their father. When Daksha heard this news, which was brought to him by Narad Muni, he began to lament. Although he was the father of such good sons, he had lost them all. Certainly, this was lamentable. Narad Muni had informed him also, isn't it? Here it says. Not that after second batch he went after first batch also. After 3-4 lines, Prabhupada says, when news of this was brought to Prajapati Daksha, the Prajapati, instead of being happy with the actions of Narad Muni, was extremely sorrowful. After 4-5 more lines, a materialistic father and mother want to engage their sons in begetting children, striving for improved economic conditions and rotting in materialistic life. They are not unhappy when their children become spoiled, useless citizens, but they lament when they join the Hare Krishna movement to achieve the ultimate goal of life. So if that, like sometimes the devotees, one father having 3 sons was asked, so what do your sons do? Oh, my eldest son, he is in Boston. And my middle son, he is in Houston. And my last son, he is in Hare Krishna temple as a monk. What a 3rd class father or 10th class father. He's taking so much pride in telling my son is in Boston and Houston, and last son is monk. So this is foolish father. This animosity between parents and the Krishna conscious movement has existed since time immemorial. Even Narad Muni was condemned, not to speak of others. Nevertheless, Narad Muni never gives up the mission. To deliver as many fallen souls as possible, he continues playing his musical instrument and vibrating the transcendental sound. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Chakravarti says, for the householder, becoming a Vaishnav is a loss. Daksha Kaha then lamented, oh, all my good sons have been bewildered by Narada. He lamented that having good sons was a cause of sorrow. He wailed, persons destined for sorrow and lamentation have good sons. That is the foolishness of Daksha. He's not understanding how he is getting delivered. 24th. When Prajapati Daksha was lamenting for his lost children, Lord Brahma pacified him with instructions, and therefore Daksha begot 1,000 more children in the womb of his wife Panchajani. This time his sons were known as the Shavalasvas. Prabhupada in purport says this first batch of children, sons, they went back to Godhead. Then he begot another batch. Narad Muni is very expert in delivering all the conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, the materialistic experts do not agree with the spiritual expert Narad Muni. But this does not mean that Narad Muni will give up his engagement of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. He will continue preaching. 25th. In accordance with their father's order to beget children, the second group of sons also went to Narayan Saras, the same place where their brothers had previously attained perfection by following the instructions of Narada. Undertaking great vows of austerity, the Shavalasvas remained at that holy place. In purport, Prabhupada says that Daksha did not hesitate to send second group of sons to the same place, although they too might become victims of Narada Muni's instructions. According to the Vedic culture, one should be trained in spiritual understanding as a brahmachari before entering household life to beget children. Prajapati Daksha sent his second group sons for cultural improvement. After 4-5 more lines, the duty of the father in all circumstances is to give cultural education to his sons, who must later decide which way to go. So brahmachari training should be given, and then after that, father should send them for brahmachari training. After that, they will decide whether they want to continue as brahmacharis for whole life or they wish to marry. If they wish to marry, they may marry. Yes. 26th. At Narayan Saras, the second group of sons performed penances in the same way as the first. They bathed in the holy water, and by its touch, all the dirty material desires in their hearts were cleansed away. They murmured mantras beginning with Omkar and underwent a severe course of austerities. Purport. Every Vedic mantra is called Brahma because each mantra is preceded by the Brahmakshar, Om or Omkar. 27-28. For a few months, the sons of Prajapati Daksha drank only water and ate only air. Thus, undergoing great austerities, they recited, yeah, just, is it okay? No? They will also sit that side. So only two of you can, others can continue. Or if you want, if only three are there, you could continue also, no problem. So 27-28. For a few months, the sons of Prajapati Daksha drank only water and ate only air. That we read. No? Thus, undergoing great austerities, they recited this mantra. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayan, the Son, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always situated in his transcendental abode. Since he is the Supreme Person, Paramhamsa, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto him. Purport. From these verses, it is apparent that the chanting of the Mahamantra or the Vedic mantras must be accompanied by severe austerities. I think Saralakshan Prabhu can read. Austerities are there. 27-28. Purport.
From these verses, it is apparent that the chanting of the Mahamantra or the Vedic mantras must be accompanied by severe austerities. In Kali Yuga, people cannot undergo severe austerities like those mentioned herein, drinking only water and eating only air for many months. One cannot imitate such process, but at least one must undergo some austerity by giving up 4 unwanted principles, namely illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. Anyone can easily practice this tapasya, and then the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will be effective without delay. One should not give up the process of austerity. If possible, one should bathe in the waters of the Ganges or Yamuna, or in the absence of the Ganges and Yamuna, one may bathe in the water of the sea. This is an item of austerity. Our Krishna consciousness movement has therefore established 2 very large centers, one in Vrindavan and another in Mayapur, Navadip. There one may bathe in the Ganges or Yamuna, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and thus become perfect and return home back to Godhead.
So this is because they drank only water and ate only air, the Shavalaswas. So austerities are also important, and for us austerities are only the 4 regulative principles following: no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, and no intoxication. What is the problem if we only chant Hare Krishna and not follow the 4 regulative principles? Because chanting is the topmost thing. What way? Correct. Yes. We'll forget Krishna. The 2 instructions in the scriptures: always remember Krishna and never forget him. So always remember Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But we'll forget Krishna by breaking the regulative principle. By meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, and intoxication, we'll forget Krishna. So to remember Krishna, chant Hare Krishna, and not to forget Krishna, follow the 4 regulative principles. So both are important. Then 29th. O King Parikshit, Narad Muni approached the sons of Prajapati Daksha, who were engaged in tapasya to beget children, and spoke enigmatic words to them, just as he had spoken to their elder brothers. Again, Narad Muni has come to them also. Now, next 2 verses talk about Narad Muni says to Shavalaswas, O sons of Daksha, please hear my words of instruction attentively. You are all very affectionate to your elder brothers, the Haryashvas. Therefore, you should follow their path. Prabhupada in purport says, family affection is very strong, and therefore Narad Muni followed this tactic of reminding them of their family relationship with the Haryashvas. Generally, the word Nigama refers to the Vedas, but here Nigama refers to the instructions contained in the Vedas. Nigama is Vedas, but here Nigama means instructions contained in the Vedas. And after quoting Anartha Pashamam Sakshat, after that 176, Prabhupada says people are suffering because of ignorance and are following a wrong path for happiness. This is called Anartha. Anartha Pashamam Sakshat Bhakti Yogam Adhokshaji. So Narad Muni's formula is very simple here. You should just follow your elder brothers. In the commentary, Chakravarti Pad writes, you will enjoy with the Maruts who were affectionate towards their brothers. How were Maruts born? When Diti was pregnant and Indra wanted to kill the child in the womb, he served her very nicely. He was waiting for her becoming inattentive, breaking the strictness of the principles. So one time she ate or something, and isn't it? And she did not wash her feet. Mouth. She did not wash her mouth. She was very tired because so many austerities. So she slept. And that is the time Indra entered in the womb and cut the fetus in 7 pieces. And then afterwards, each piece into 7 more pieces. So they became 49 Maruts. And they were all shouting, Indra, please, don't kill us. We'll become your brothers. We'll help you. And that's how, though they were sons of Diti, from Diti are born Daityas. Daityas means, Daityas like demons, means Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. So these are Daityas. But from Diti, these 49 Marus born were friends of demigods, especially of Indra. So that's how Maruts, he's saying. Where is that word? That is coming ahead. Prabhupada, this is for 31st. We are at 30th. 31st, I'll just read. A brother aware of the principles of religion follows in the footsteps of his elder brothers. Because of being highly elevated, such a pious brother gets the opportunity to associate and enjoy with demigods like the Maruts, who are all affectionate to their brothers. So the friendship between these Maruts is very famous, affection. Anyway, brothers are supposed to be very affectionate to each other. And especially these Maruts, the sons of Diti, are very affectionate to each other. So you will enjoy with the Maruts who were affectionate to their brothers. This example indicates you will enjoy with your elder brothers who have gone to Vaikuntha. Where have Haryash was gone? Vaikuntha. So you will also go to Vaikuntha if you follow their path. So in the mundane sense, it is like Maruts, and in the spiritual sense, you will go to Vaikuntha. So both are covered by Narad Muni. 32nd. Shukdev Goswami continued, O best of the advanced Aryans, after saying this much to the sons of Prajapati Daksha, Narad Muni, whose merciful glance never goes in vain, left as he had planned. The sons of Daksha followed their elder brothers. Not attempting to produce children, they engaged themselves in Krishna consciousness. Here, nothing, no preaching is required. Just the words, follow your elder brothers, very enough. 33rd. According to their belief in various material relationship, people are promoted to various planets. Yanti deva vrata devan, pitrun yanti pitrurataha, bhutani yanti bhuteja, yanti madhyajino apimam. Those who worship the ancestors, they go to the planets of ancestors. Those who worship bhutas, pretas, they go to their planes. Those who worship demigods, they go to demigods. And those who worship me, Krishna says, they will come to me in Vaikuntha, in Golok Vrindavan. So according to their material relationships. Then 33rd, the Shavalasvas took to the correct path, which is obtainable by a mode of life meant to achieve devotional service or the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like knights that have gone to the west, they have not returned even until now. There is perfection. Yad gatva na nivartante. They went to Golok Vrindavan or Vaikuntha. Commentary Chakravarti says, having taken to the proper Sadri Chinam, path of bhakti, anupatham, the favorable path of the Lord for attaining internal realization, they did not return like the passing of night, Pashimaha Yaminihi. Then 34 and 35 talks about Daksha's anger and lamentation. At this time, Prajapati Daksha observed many inauspicious signs, and he heard from various sources that his second group of sons, the Shavalasvas, had followed the path of their elder brothers in accordance with the instructions of Narada. So he saw bad omen, also Apashakun, and also he heard from Narad Muni. He heard from others. That second group of sons is also gone. They are also gone. 35th. When he heard that the Shavalasvas had also left this world to engage in devotional service, Daksha was angry at Narada and he almost fainted due to lamentation. When Daksha met Narada, Daksha's lips began trembling in anger and he spoke as follows. Prabhupada in purport says, Narad Muni had delivered the entire family of Swayambhu Manu, beginning with Priyavrata and Uttanapad, two sons of Swayambhu Manu. Both were delivered. Then their sons, Uttanapad's son, Dhruva. And down the line, Prachinibari is the last. Or even for that matter, Prachetas after Prachinibari. Everybody is delivered. Nevertheless, he could not deliver Prajapati Daksha. Prajapati Daksha saw Narada before him because Narada had personally come to deliver him. Narad Muni took the opportunity to approach Prajapati Daksha in his bereavement because the time of bereavement is a suitable time for appreciating Bhakti Yoga. That's they say in Hindi. What? Sukh mein sabhi hare. Huh? Huh? हाँ यस दुख में स्मरण करे सब बेसिकली दुख में है तो सब भगवान को स्मरण करते हैं है ना और सुख में है तो कौन स्मरण करेगा बट इफ यू रिमेंबर द लॉर्ड इन योर सुख इन योर हैप्पीनेस देन दुख काहे का होए देन देयर इज नो डिस्ट्रेस ओनली so that's why this is the point that in bereavement that is a suitable time for appreciating Bhakti Yoga. And last line Prabhupada says, Narada took the opportunity to instruct him regarding liberation from material bondage. He's going to instruct him also. And in the commentary, Chakratipad, okay, no problem. Okay, there is the last section remaining, 36 to 43, which we'll discuss after the break. And then the last chapter, the progeny of the daughters of Daksha also, we'll discuss after the break. We'll have 10 minutes break around. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. So this 34 to 34 and 35, they are about Daksha's anger and lamentation. That we already discussed. 36 to 43, these how many? 8 verses are talking about Daksha blaspheming and cursing Narad Muni. We can sympathize with Daksha. He has had such a major loss, huge, so many sons. Sometimes somebody whom we preach to, he goes away. How many of you experience? Yeah, how bad we feel, isn't it? I know brahmachari, senior brahmachari who lost one such boy from IIT Kharagpur, leader, almost leader boy. He was there for second year, third year, final year in the voice. And he was Gaurang Sabha candidate also. But then after vacation began, he went home. Several days, no response. Then this brahmachari called him and saying, trying to contact, but not contacting, able to contact only. And after long time, once only that boy called, contacted. I said, Prabhu, please forget it. Forget me. I am not interested. Don't try to follow me up. This brahmachari cried like anything. Now he was not his biological son. Not that from wife son was produced. Brahmachari has no wife. But he cried over the loss of one boy. So you can imagine how much Daksha will be in distress. 10,000 sons and one more 1,000 sons. 11,000 sons loss. Huge loss. So Daksha is very angry, and we see that in these verses. So please repeat 36. Sri Daksha uvacha aho asadho sadhunam sadhulingena nastvaya asadhva karya arbhakanam bhikshor margah pradarshitah. Prajapati Daksha said, Alas, Narad Muni, you wear the dress of a saintly person, but you are not actually a saint. Indeed, although I am now in Grahastha life, I am a saintly person. By showing my sons the path of renunciation, you have done me an abominable injustice. He's saying, I am sadhu and you are a sadhu. Narad Muni is wearing saffron dress and Daksha is wearing he is a king, so he will be naturally wearing silk clothes, maybe silk dhoti, yellow dhoti, whichever the color of the dress. But he's saying, I am sadhu and you are a sadhu. I am grahastha sadhu, you are sannyasi asadhu. In the purport, Prabhupada after 3-4 lines says, Daksha was certainly a sadhu because he had executed such great austerities that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, had appeared before him. And he performed austerities for how long? Several manvantaras, second manvantaras, third, fourth, fifth. In the sixth, Chakshush manvantar, he is here now. So his austerities are for a long time. Nevertheless, he had a fault-finding mentality. That was a problem. And after 3-4 lines, he says, Narad Muni instructed them to become Vaishnavas in the renounced order. This is the duty of Narad Muni and his followers. They must show everyone the path of renouncing this material world and returning home back to Godhead. How many of you have shown the path of renunciation to some? How many? Only 2. Raise your hands. Good. Others, don't show the path of renunciation. I have done that with several boys. And for that, the news went to Rajeshampur also. Sometimes he only chastised me. So we should show the path of renunciation. Like once I told one boy, I was bringing him on scooter from Bhakti Vidyapeeth College of Engineering to temple, like that. So generally we are driving. When we begin driving, then what we do? We sing Narsimha Arati. So now I am driving scooter. How can I sing? It is little dangerous. The driver should not. So I told him, first I was talking to him that what is your future plan? Then he said, I'm not sure, this and that. I said, you should become a brahmachari. It's a very nice life. You are such a nice devotee and your friend is already thinking of becoming brahmachari and all that. So then he said, no, but I'm not having that courage. I'm not so strong, this, that. I said, no, that you don't worry. In the ashram of devotees, we get strength. In the ashram of brahmacharis, we get strength. Then after I was driving also and he was behind. I said, then he was showing too much of insecurity. Like that. I said, you don't worry. You just pray to Lord Narsimhadev. Lord Narsimhadev will empower you. So now you begin Narsimha Arati. I'll follow behind. So Lord Narsimhadev will empower you. So he started leading and I was following like that. So then afterward, that boy complained to his senior in the voice that like this Sundar Prabhu told, you can be a brahmachari, don't worry, Lord Narsingh, they will empower. And he told me to lead Narsingh Arati also. That was not the main thing. Basically, I had to lead Narsingh Arati. We had begun the journey, but then that was pending because of our talk. And I cannot lead, so I told him to lead, but I also told jokingly like that. So he told, and then that leader told Radhesham Prabhu, Sundar Prabhu forced this boy to be a brahmachari, this and that. And then Radhesham said, what is this? How can you force like this? This and that. I said, I did not force so much like that. So, but anyway, no problem. Now I'm telling that boy to get married. He's not ready to get married also. Neither is he brahmachari nor is he grastha. Anyway, he's not getting girl also to marry. So no problem. So ahead, we should show, because this is what is told here, that they must show everyone the path of renouncing this material world and return home back to Godhead. Even to others also, like in Juhu temple in Mumbai, who was telling Rasaraj Prabhu. How many of you know Rasaraj Prabhu? You know, BI in church, very intelligent devotee. So Rasaraj Prabhu had one boy joining Juhu temple as a brahmachari. So when he joined as a brahmachari, father became very upset and disturbed. He came and he met Rasaraj Prabhu, knowing that he is the in charge. He said, sir, please give me my son. You know, this is not the age, he's very young. When one crosses the age 50 or so, then one can come to temple and stay in the temple, not before the age 50 and all that. So Rasaraj Prabhu said, what is your age? So he said something 56. Then Rasaraj Prabhu said, okay, you stay back and let your son go home. You stay back. Then father was angry. He said, I will tell you tomorrow. I'll ask my wife and I'll tell you tomorrow. He went home, never came back only. He said, okay, let son remain in temple. I cannot come back. So people are very scared. But everyone should be shown the path of renouncing this material world. Otherwise, one day we have to anyway renounce. We have to renounce everything. We have to die. Isn't it? One day we have to die. Like now 2023. In 2090, how many of us will be present? After 67 years, Atare Prabhu will be there. What is your age now? 14. So 67 plus 14? 81. He will be 81 years old. That is also doubt. Whether one will remain alive till 81. But we pray that that Sharada, what? Jiveta Sharada Shatam. May you see 100 autumns, Sharad Rutus. Good. But otherwise, not so easy. And rest of us, no question of remaining alive. So that's why we should know life is temporary and one should renounce. Everybody should be shown the path of renunciation. In the second paragraph beginning, Prabhupada says, a sannyasi is called Tridandi Bhikshu because his duty is to beg alms from the homes of grahasthas and to give the grahasthas spiritual instructions. So when we also go, what we should do? We should do kirtan in the houses of grahasthas. We should give some katha. And then we should take prasad. Otherwise, only Bhikshu means took prasad and came back. For Shukdev Goswami, it is said he would stand at the doors of the grahasthas till the time cow was milked. So devotee think, abhi kya kare, wo गाय का दूध निकाल रहे हैं, तब तक ये बेचारे रुकना ही पड़ेगा, because he has to wait for the milk. It is not like that. What he would do? He would preach to them for that time, whatever that time, and then he would proceed. A sannyasi is allowed to beg from door to door, but a grahastha cannot do so. Grahastha should not beg. Although a Brahman may sometimes accept charity, it is not for his personal maintenance, but for the worship of deity. Then towards the end of the paragraph, unless one becomes a Brahman, one cannot take sannyas. Sannyasis and brahmacharis may beg alms door to door, but a grahastha cannot. So that's why one of the things required for brahmacharis is to be Brahminical, mode of goodness. Because in the Vedic lifetimes, only Brahmanas would remain lifelong brahmacharis. Few. Many would get married also, but those who would remain, they would be only Brahmanas. There's no almost no exception to that, except Kshatriya like Bhishma Dev. That was circumstantial, and also that was not like pure brahmachari life in terms of staying in Gurukul, ashram of Guru. He was staying in Rajakul, royal palace of Hastinapur. So, and Vaishya, any Vaishya remaining brahmachari? No. And Shudra, no question, not even going to Gurukul. So only Brahmanas. That's why goodness is very important for continuing in brahmacharya ashram. In the third paragraph, beginning, Prabhupada says, generally a grahastha thinks that unless one enters grahastha life, he cannot properly enter the renounced order. That is their misconception. Today morning, His Grace Achyut Mohan Prabhu very nicely clarified, elaborated on that. Then ahead he says, although parents may be angry at us, we must perform our duty without hesitation because we are in the disciplic succession from Narad Muni. Somebody could read last paragraph. Raghukuru Babu, could you get that yesterday, same place?
People addicted to householder life wonder how one can give up the enjoyment of grahastha life, which is a concession for sex enjoyment, simply to become a mendicant in Krishna consciousness. They do not know that the householder's concession for sex life cannot be regulated unless one accepts the life of a mendicant. The Vedic civilization, therefore, enjoins that at the end of one's 50th year, one must give up household life. This is compulsory.
See Prabhupada's statement. This is compulsory. But what is the, in current day modern scenario, hardly any ISKCON Vanaprastha. Grahastha becoming Vanaprastha. What will you say? If you come across a devotee, let's say you are reading this paragraph in front of Grahasthas who are all 50 plus. How will you explain? Yes.
They can full time serve in the temple, both of them, because nowadays they may not.
Yeah, but here it is said it is compulsory only. At the end of one's 50th year, one must give up household life. Panchashordham vanam rajet. Okay, chalo, one explanation. Any other? Sthane sthita. Wherever you are, just continue. Okay. Bus party and street Sankirtan with PDC. Yes.
As a previous verse, Narada Muni's the followers has to do that everybody to teach this renouncing. The same thing, but further he mentioned that renouncing this material world and returning back to Godhead. So in that way, this 50th joining into the Vanaprastha ashram is, as Prabhuji also mentioned, that even at the home also, wherever you are there, just like how you are to connect to the temple nearby. And
Okay, any other solution, bro?
Hare Krishna.
Like Prabhupada also told, previously they used to go to the forest, Vanaprastha. So Prabhupada said that nowadays forest is not there. So you go to Vrindavan or Mayapur, where these are the two places where we can go and serve. But if that is not possible, we can stay in our home at nearby ISKCON temple, and whole day we can do service, and home also we can establish deity and install deities and serve. And then ultimately we have to engage fully 24 hours in the service of the Lord.
Okay, chalo, now keeping aside the practical details, let's see from the philosophical point of view. Why are the current Grahasthas in ISKCON not able to enter in Vanaprastha ashram? Let's say temples create Vanaprastha ashram. Why are they not able to enter?
Because nowadays that kind of strong preaching like Narada Muni is not there. First of all, thing.
That is one.
Another thing is that they are entering into Grahastha life at the age of 40 something, after 40 or 35, 40, and the child is very small, and they have responsibility of getting married to their children, a girl, daughter, or a son, and son is not fully, means he has not taken responsibility. So it becomes very difficult for them to give up the responsibility.
Okay. Any other? Yes, Jugal Shambhu.
So they are not entering Grahastha ashram with the exit plan.
With exit plan.
Exit plan. Like they plan their life in such a way that after 50 they'll be able to.
They don't plan like that.
If they're planning with the exit plan,
okay,
then they
may. Okay, any other? Some others? Some other devotee? Sachinam Bhagwan Prabhu.
Brahmachari training.
This is what I was looking for. First and foremost, the boy in his childhood only, or at least in youthful days, he has not gone through Brahmachari training only. This is for whom? This is Vedic life, na? Vanaprastha ashram. Prabhupada says that 4 ashramas are for whom? Brahmanas. 3 ashrams for Kshatriyas. 2 ashrams for Vaishyas. And 1 ashram for Shudra. So for Shudra, which ashram? Only Grahastha ashram. He doesn't go to Gurukul to become brahmachari at all. Then for Vaishya, the child goes to Gurukul. He remains brahmachari till the age of 20-25. Then he gets married. So 2 ashram. Then Kshatriya, in the childhood goes to brahmachari ashram, stays brahmachari. Then afterwards Grahastha. And then afterwards, he takes Vanaprastha ashram. And then for Brahmanas, if they wish, there is 4th ashram. That is sannyas. We discussed some time back also. They can take sannyas. Not Kshatriyas, not Vaishyas, not Shudras. So these people, they have not undergone brahmachari life only. So the thought of becoming Vanaprastha is terrifying. Now imagine all of us had not come to brahmachari ashram, and at the age of 40, 45, you are proposed, Prabhu, come, move in the ashram. How many of us would be ready? It would be very difficult, isn't it? In fact, even young boys also sometimes they have little difficulty. Like one of the very affluent boys, that means child, son of very rich parents, crorpatis. Their son, when he wanted to join brahmachari ashram, he was afraid of one thing. You know what? That every day I will have to wash my own clothes. So his crorepati's son, every day they had washing machine in the house only. And that to maid servants also. Servants, maid servants. So all the clothes are washed by servants. No habit of washing clothes personally. So if I become a brahmachari, I will have to wash my dhoti kurta. This is old, 25 years back. Now many times in ashram also we have washing machine. But anyway, that is not for all. That is only for seniors or for dyeing clothes, etc. So he was scared of that. So this is one main reason in ISKCON that it is difficult for them to become Vanaprastha. And we cannot expect also. You understand? Because they are scared. Even we would be scared at the age of 40, 45 without staying in ashram. If somebody proposes at that moment, almost an impossibility of moving in the ashram. So they have that main difficulty. That's why Prabhupada said the 3rd generation in ISKCON will be powerful and stable. So 1st generation, they sometimes they say Prabhupada is the 1st, his disciple 2nd, and we are the 3rd. But some others say no. What is the 1st generation? Prabhupada disciples. When the Garbhadan Sanskar is done and the child is born to the Grahastha, husband, wife, that child is the 1st generation. Then he will grow up, he will marry, he will do Garbhada Sanskar. His children will be 2nd generation. Those children will marry and they will produce. That will be 3rd generation. Like that. But no problem. Spiritually, we can say proper disciples are the first generation. We are the 2nd and 3rd next one. So this is not easy. Okay, continue the purport.
However, because modern civilization is missile, householders want to remain in family life until death, and therefore they are suffering. In such cases, the disciples of Narada Muni advise all the members of the younger generation to join the Krishna consciousness movement immediately. This is nothing wrong.
There is nothing wrong in
There
this.
is nothing wrong in this.
Yeah. So he's saying because modern civilization is misled, householders want to remain in family life until death, and therefore they are suffering. So you can see how the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law have fights. In the Manu Samhita or somewhere it is said, after the girl is married and she enters in the house, she is the queen of the house. Raggi. Raja, Raggi. Ragni, you can say. So she is the queen of the house, but then the mother-in-law is like sitting and then she says, hey, come on, aisa nahi banane ka, ye waisa karo, aisa karo. So she feels, are, what is this? Mujhe kuch swatantrata hi nahi. I am not everything. This lady is all the time there. So the daughter-in-law doesn't like mother-in-law. And then the father-in-law also, old fellow, he's also interfering. That's why, as I think somebody said, at least after 50, they should reduce their material obligations. They should not interfere too much in the family life of their son or daughters. They should, Harila Prabhu was saying. Okay, no, he also said, I think, Yeah, just now he said that. So they should not. Like even similarly, I was telling long sometime before that we become seniors, we should not interfere too much in temple management when the young devotees are leading. We should oversee and see whether they are doing well. And in case some requirement, we can tell Prabhu, ye thoda aise kar sakte hain, like that. But if we get into there, then the young devotees feel choked. अरे क्या है हमें करने ही नहीं देते all the time these oldies only old devotees. That's what we faced in Shishi Radha Gopinath temple's yatra also. Because older generation was leading the yatra, our seniors also, and then the young generation, they wanted to take lead because they are all IITians, IIT Bombay, so they are passed out and they are brahmacharis. They want to take lead role in yatra, at least registration and many other. But then so many what you call rules and regulations set by seniors, then these were feeling choked, and then matter became little more grown. It was taken to His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. Then Maharaj said the senior should take little off. And he said also, I think, I don't know about His Grace Shamanand Prabhu or His Grace Gaurang Prabhu. If only they, keep themselves aloof and they just read scriptures or they dance in kirtan with devotees, that means not interfering in the management too much, then I'll be very happy. Maharaj made the statement. That means they should not get into management too much. I'm not saying they should neglect. They should just oversee and guide the younger generation. Otherwise, younger generation feels choked. Then so many fights happen. Now we'll not get into that too much, but here that 36 was said something about that. So I said that. In the commentary, Chakravarti Path writes, by wearing the dress of a saintly person, you are causing great deception. We are saintly, sadhunam. Plural case is used out of pride. We, he's saying. अभी है कौन उसके साथ? अकेले तो है. He's all alone. We, he's saying. We are saintly. I am saintly. You have produced great misfortune for me. Who would never show such hatred to you, even in dreams? Your great offense has become visible now after some time. What injustice did I do? You, with envy, not tolerating the happiness of household life, have shown the path of the beggars to my small children. They are like children, innocent, and they accepted the teachings of a cheater like you. Another meaning can be given to this verse. O Narada, to whom no one can compare as a saint, there is no one with such marks as of a saint. You have shown the path of the saintly to my sons. So like that he's saying, you are a cheater. Directly he's accusing Narad Muni of all the bad words. You cannot tolerate the happiness of household life, etc. Okay, 37th. Prajapati Daksha said, my sons were not at all freed from their 3 debts. Indeed, they did not properly consider their obligations. O Narad Muni, O personality of sinful action, you have obstructed their progress toward good fortune in this world and the next, because they are still indebted to the saintly persons, the demigods, and their father. Now we are coming closer to where our Bhagavatam is going on in temple. A few days back, this was discussed. So 3 dates to 1 date to sages, forefathers, demigods, 3. Prabhupada is referring to that in the purport. As soon as a Brahman takes birth, he assumes 3 kinds of debts. Debts to great saints, debts to the demigods, and debts to his father. The son of a Brahman must undergo celibacy, brahmacharya, to clear his debts to the saintly persons. He must perform ritualistic ceremonies to clear his debts to the demigods. And he must beget children to become free from his debts to his father. So this is the main reason in one sense. Nowadays, sometimes the brahmachari, one boy becomes brahmachari. Parents say, "Arey kya itna paisa dala tumhare upar aur aise ban gaye tum brahmachari." So this is not the main reason. They should, if at all, they should worry about vamsh, propagation of the ones. Vamsh should go ahead. And what for? Huh? For there? No, not at all. Not for prestige. Huh? Oblations to forefathers. Lupta Pindo Daka Kriya. The first argument in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. That the oblations to the forefathers would stop if the children, all these men are killed here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So it is not good for me to kill them. That's what Arjun is saying. So the dates, that's the point of Daksha. after quoting Devarshi Bhutapta Nrunam Pitrunam, 3-4 lines later, Prabhupada writes, therefore Narad Muni was completely right in instructing the sons of Prajapati Daksha to renounce this material world immediately and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The dates to, here only 3 dates Daksha is talking, but there in that verse, Deva, Rushi, Bhuta, Apta, Nruna, Pitrunam. 6 dates. And commentary of the Acharyas also says how to liquidate these dates. But that is not required if one surrenders to Krishna. Sarvatmanaya Sharanam Sharanyam Gato Mukundam Parirutya Kartam. So that's why Narad Muni told them, no need to worry. You can directly surrender. And last, Prabhupada says he merely performed his duty as a Vaishnava by delivering all the sons of Prajapati Daksha, enabling them to return home back to Godhead. So there is nothing wrong on the part of Narad Muni. In the purport, in the commentary by Chakravarti Pad, he says, by taking to renunciation, it is possible to cross over samsara. But renunciation is not suitable for persons in household life to follow. So those who are not married, they can join as brahmacharis and then take sannyas eventually. But those who are already grahasthas, they should not try to escape from their responsibilities unless they are thoroughly enlightened. And then they require what? If they have to take sannyas, grahasthas, let's say some 40-year-old sannyasi has, some 40-year-old grahastha wants to take sannyas, then what? Permission of wife is required. The grahasthas in ISKCON, if they want sannyas, their wife's permission, written permission is required. And Vedic time, oral permission is required. If the wife doesn't give permission, he cannot become sannyasi. Then after quoting one verse, Chakravarti Pad writes, my sons did not repay their debts and did not consider their karmas. They are not free from debts to the sages yet. They are not free from debts to the devatas and pitrus, since they will not produce children or perform sacrifice. O sinner, killer of trust, because of renouncing material enjoyment, their enjoyment in this life has been ruined. Fortune in next life is also ruined because they have taken to renunciation without being qualified. All the statements of Daksha are based on mundane consideration or to some extent Dharma Shastra considerations, just like Arjun in first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And stand of Narad Muni is Bhagavad Dharma, Bhakti Shastras, not Dharma Shastras. And towards the end, Chakravarti Pad writes, having paid one's 3 debts, the mind should enter into liberation. Not paying those debts and practicing for liberation, a person goes to hell. This is in Manusmriti. So according to Vedic life, it is must. Karma Kandi life, this is must. And they are very horrible rules. I was recently reading about Santa Jnaneshwar life. Santa Sopandev, his brother, Nivrittinath Jnaneshwar Sopandev, and their younger sister Mukta Bai. So it so happened that this person, father's name was Vitthal Pant, as I remember. So he was very scared of family life. He was fearful. They were not having children for long. His wife was there. She was a nice lady. And they were not getting child. And he was understanding the troubles of family life. He, again and again, every day, he was asking his wife, could I take sannyas? Could I take sannyas? Because wife's permission is required. And she was not giving that permission. She wanted rather a son, but somehow they were not getting also child. So then time was passing by and he was developing, so to say, more renunciation. Every day he started asking. It was like a nagging for her. And one point of time, she became very angry. She said, okay, whatever you want to do, you take sannyas. She was frustrated. In frustration, she said, and he went to Kashi and he considered and he thought, whatever it is, in frustration, she has given after all permission. And he was anyway fed up. So he took sannyas. His guru asked, what about your wife's permission is there? He said, yeah, the permission is there. So then he said, okay. And he gave him sannyas. He became a sannyasi. Some days passed. Guru had to go for pilgrimage. So he entrusted all the responsibility to this Vitthal Pant, saying, you take care of the ashram. I'm going for pilgrimage. So he went with few disciples. They came exactly to this place only. Where was that? Python? Python or Alandi somewhere. So he came there, he took bath in the river also. He sat on the bank, and here this lady was there, his wife, former wife. So she went to him somehow and begged, paid obeisances. And he said, may you have many children, like that. Putravati Bhava. And then she said, what, Sadhu Maharaj, what boon you have given? This will never work. He said, no, I have given you benediction. How it will not work? It will work. You will get children. She said, no, my husband has gone long before, and it seems he has taken sannyas and all that. So he asks, inquires, what is the name of your husband? And she tells. Then he realizes, oh, he's the one. And how he said that, he becomes very angry, and he takes her and her father or somebody. They all three go to Kashi. They meet Vittal Pant, and Vittal Pant is surprised. They have come, and then he asks. Then he says, all these things happened. Then I took sannyas. Then anyway, long story, but to cut it short, afterwards, when they had 4 children, all this, Nivruttinath, Naneshwar, Muktabai, and Sopandev Muktabai. Then the children had to be given Upanayan Sanskar. Sanskaras are to be done because they are Brahmanas. So when they went to the local Brahmins and asked, they said, no, this is bogus. You have taken sannyas, and how can you enter in Grahastha life? This is not proper. This is bogus. So you have to take some, what they call, atonement you have to do. So they said, atonement, okay, but without atonement, we cannot have our sons, Upanayan Sanskar. Okay, fine. What is the atonement? So they went through all the scriptures, all that. And ultimately conclusion was, Dehanta. You have to give up your body, both husband and wife. And anyway, long story to cut it short, ultimately they pacify their children and they go to Kashi, and both of them drown in Triveni Sangam, Ganges, Yamuna there. So these are the kind of Dharma Shastras like that. Anyway, I don't know whether that was really written in the scriptures, but that's what was suggested. If the one takes sannyas. Anyway, we follow Bhagavad Dharma. That I just happened to speak because I happened to read that book about Sopandev. Then 38th. Prajapati Daksha continued, thus committing violence against other living entities and yet claiming to be an associate of Lord Vishnu, you are defaming the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You needlessly created a mentality of renunciation in innocent boys, and therefore you are shameless and devoid of compassion. How could you travel with the personal associates of the Supreme Lord? In the purport, Prabhupada says that when young boys join Krishna consciousness, their fathers are angry unnecessarily inducing to deprive themselves of the material enjoyment. Karmis, fruitive workers think that one should fully enjoy his present life in this material world and also perform some pious activities to be promoted to higher planetary systems for further enjoyment in next life. So material life enjoyment in this life, and after this life also material enjoyment of higher degree in heavenly planet. But Prabhupada says this life in the higher planetary systems of the demigods is a will-o'-the-wisp, a phantasmagoria with no real existence at all. What is it in Sanskrit? Will-o'-the-wisp? Akasha Pushpa, a flower in the sky. That's just not possible. Similarly, happiness in this material world, stamped as Dukhalem, is just not possible. Whether you are in lower, higher, or middle planetary system. He's interested only in rendering service to personality Godhead, the devotee. And last lines, that Daksha charged that because Narad Muni was associated with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord would also be defamed. Thus, Daksha criticized that Narad Muni was an offender to the Lord, although he was known as an associate of the Lord. Sometimes parents also accuse the son. अरे ऐसे कर रहे हैं, माता पिता के साथ गद्दारी कर रहे हैं, ऐसे छोड़ रहे हैं, ऐसे कैसे तुम्हारे भगवान प्रसन्न होंगे? Your Lord also will be angry with you. Some children may think, oh, maybe so, but it is not so. He should know. Gato mukundam parirutya kartam. For 38, Vishnu Chakti Thakur writes, what can I say to such an evil person as you? The Lord becomes defamed by servants like you. You are without compassion. You spoil the intelligence fixed in performing karmas according to scripture. You have destroyed the fame of the Lord. This means that you have committed offense against the Lord. Among the Vaishnavas, among the devotees of the Lord like me, among the devotees of the Lord like me, और तुम्हारे भक्तजनों में हमसे बढ़कर कौन? Like that. That offense is therefore difficult to remove. Furthermore, apart from your bad actions, you are without compassion, without remorse, and a betrayer of trust. How many of you accepted so many ill names? Really? Acha, okay. From parents to son. Okay. Anybody else? Your mother has told me also many things. So I know Mataji, whatever she says. Yeah. But in preaching, you preach to somebody and parents were unhappy with you. Not yet. Okay. If they find out who is PTC in charge, sometimes they come. कौन है वो? Or they come to president. कौन है यहाँ का president? We want to meet him. That's why we forward somebody else. Somebody else means somebody who will deal properly with them. 39th. All the devotees of the Lord, but you are very kind to the conditioned souls and are eager to benefit others. Although you wear the dress of a devotee, you create enmity with people who are not your enemies. Or you break friendship and create enmity between friends. Are you not ashamed of posing as a devotee while performing these abominable actions? How heavy is speaking. Purport. Such are the criticism that must be borne by the servants of Narad Muni in the disciplic succession. Prabhupada says in the East and West, how we suffer, how we are accused. But our service is appreciated neither in India nor abroad in the Western countries where we are endeavoring to spread this Krishna consciousness movement. In India, the caste Brahmanas have become enemies of the Krishna consciousness movement because we elevate foreigners who are supposed to be Mlechas and Yavanas to the position of Brahmans. And in the East, what happens? This is in the East, and in the West? Parents become enemies. They say they have brainwashed our children. We have no business creating enemies, but the process is such that non-devotees will always be inimical toward us. A devotee should be both tolerant and merciful. Devotees engaged in preaching should be prepared to be accused by ignorant persons, and yet they must be very merciful to the fallen conditioned souls. If one can execute his duty in the disciplic succession of Narad Muni, his service will be surely recognized. Nachatasman Manusheshu. So we should go on. Let us continue preaching the message of Lord Krishna and not be afraid of enemies. Our only duty is to satisfy the Lord by this preaching, which will be accepted as service by Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna. Then last paragraph he says, because Narad Muni and the members of his disciplic succession disrupt friendships and family life, they are sometimes accused of being Saurudagnam, creators of enmity between relatives. Actually, such devotees are friends of every living entity, Suhrudam Sarvabhutanam, but they are misunderstood to be enemies. Preaching can be a difficult, thankless task, but a preacher must follow the orders of the Supreme Lord and be unafraid of materialistic persons. So because my relatives are here, but anyway, they are going in class. But I was, when I joined as a brahmachari, after a few years when I went in 2008 for my maternal grandfather's 13th day. So there my mausi and my mama, they caught me and they said, what is this? Is this the way you have given up your mother? Itna prem se pala posa, and this is how you act? So many things they said like that. So they will always accuse us and accuse for our preaching, but we should be undeterred, as Prabhupada says there. Fortunately, these people from my father's side, they are quite Varkari Sampradaya. So they did not oppose. In fact, after 5-6 years of brahmachari life was over, then my bua from Kalyan, she said, अरे अच्छा कर रहे हो. बोले क्यों क्या? अरे ये तो ग्रैंडफादर की इच्छा ही थी कि इतने सब पोतों में से कोई एक तो भगवान विट्ठल की सेवा में अपना पूरा जीवन दे दे. तो तुम अपने ग्रैंडफादर की इच्छा को पूर्ति कर रहे हो. अच्छा है. बोला अच्छा 5 साल के बाद बताया. पहले भी नहीं बताया. पहले बताना चाहिए था ना. So at least they did not oppose, but from mother side they said, क्या कर रहे हो? माँ का दिल दिखा के ऐसे, is this the way? किसने कहा है ऐसे करने को? Anyway, So for this is 39th. 39th, Vishwanath Chakravarti Path writes, you have come before me, and what type of face will you show? You are so shameless. Devotees are compassionate, but you show violence to other beings. I have shown friendship to you, but you have broken friendship with me. You create enmity. Having shown explicit enmity to me, what type of face are you showing me? You are certainly shameless. Thus, I am making you just a little ashamed. Nirlajja ho tum. Somebody says like that. How will you feel? लज्जा आती है कि नहीं तुम्हें? निर्लज्ज कही के. You have broken friendship. All the ill words that could be spoken, Daksha has spoken them all. One of the reasons why Narad Muni did not go away, one of the reasons, yes.
Narad Muni allowed Daksha to speak all that, so that and later when Narad Muni will go, then he may feel remorse about having been said so many bad words.
Yeah, अरे मैंने इतना कुछ बोला, but he did not accuse me. He was silent. So he's a great devotee, and unfortunately I am not. I did mistake. He will remorse and then he will rectify his mistake. But anyway, that did not happen. So Narad Muni anyway went. 40th. Prajapati Daksha continued, if you think that simply awakening the sense of renunciation will detach one from the material world, I must say that unless full knowledge is awakened, simply changing dresses as you have done cannot possibly bring detachment. Which was the verse today? This only? This was done. Okay. Huh? Today was 41, the next one. But anyway, this might have been there for Radhesham Prabhu, this was there, I think. So anyway, we heard the purport, but still, Prajapati Daksha was correct in stating that changing one's dress cannot detach one from this material world. In the outside world, so many sadhus wear some saffron dress like this. But then, unfortunately, some months, years later, their scandals are revealed. In Orissa, many were caught and they were put behind bars. Like that. So just changing dress is not enough. It's very bad to say, but somehow for our advance party of Maharaj Yatra in Vrindavan, so we had gone to Govardhan area to survey the whole thing. So we just took prasad in one place, one devotee family, and we were tired whole day walking here there. So we just we're relaxing, completing chanting after lunch prasad. So I went to terrace and I was chanting, and it was Govardhan. Govardhan is like this. Let's say Govardhan is like this, and this road goes by the side, Parikrama Marg. So the line perpendicular to this lane was going, and the houses were there. So we were there I was on the terrace. I was chanting there. So when I saw down on that lane path, whatever path you call, so there one sadhu was there. He was in his clothes and he was smoking cigarette, and he was reading newspaper. I was wondering, what is this? What kind of sadhu? And he was doing that in his dress only. So bold. So this is what many people do. Changing dress is not enough. They think they can do whatever they like, are more abominable than materialistic grahasthas. Materialistic grahasthas are better. In that Raishampru quoted that karmendriyani samyamya yaste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyacharasa uchyate. So somebody may restrain the karmendriyas, hands, legs, anus, voice, and rectum, but one may be mentally thinking about sense gratification. So that is a mithyachari, a bogus sadhu. This is not recommended anywhere. So then he's also clarifying. He did not know, Daksha did not know that Narad Muni had aroused the spirit of renunciation in the Haryashvas and Shavalasvas through full knowledge. Such enlightened renunciation is desirable. One should enter the renounce order with full knowledge, jnana vairagya. For the perfection of life is possible for one who renounces this material world in that way. And towards the end, after quoting Vasudeva Bhagavati, unless one's knowledge is awakened, renunciation cannot take place. For without elevated knowledge, one cannot give up attachment for material enjoyment. So knowledge has to be awakened. Sometimes when I visit some voices in India, so some boys say, Prabhu, I want to be a brahmachari, like that. Because I have been staying there for 2 days, 3 days, and I'm watching him also and others. So when he says like that, I tell him, Prabhu, first you become steady in your devotional life. First you come for money. Some boys come from outside. come for morning program, take association, read proper books. First, become convinced yourself that this is the path. Become steady, chant properly. Then that other thing will be taken care of. That is not a big thing. First, becoming fixed up in devotional life, in spiritual science. That is more important. In the commentary, Chakravartipad writes, I recommend renunciation. I think Narad Muni is saying, from that arises tranquility of mind, and from that comes cutting the knot of affection. How can you say your sons are not qualified for liberation because you think that they do not come to you, their father? It is not necessary for a renounced person to pay his 3 debts. That is not required. Anyway, 41st. Material enjoyment is indeed the cause of all unhappiness, but one cannot give it up unless one has personally experienced how much suffering it is. Therefore, one should be allowed to remain in so-called material enjoyment while simultaneously advancing in knowledge to experience the misery of this false material happiness. Then, without help from others, one will find material enjoyment detestful. Those whose minds are changed by others do not become as renounced as those who have personal experience. So that he today morning was this verse, isn't it? So he very nicely clarified what he said. The different types of renunciation. Abhav vairagya. Abhav vairagya means absence of opportunity. Simple. Grapes are sour. Then next, smashan vairagya. After going to Hare, sabki death ho jati hai. Life is temporary. It is useless to be attached in this material world. Sense gratification, no use. That is smashan vairagya. And third, prasav vairagya. So the lady who becomes pregnant, she said, my God, this is horrible. Delivery is so difficult. Never again. I don't want second child. But after some years, again, she is in the hospital for delivery. So she doesn't get it, the sex enjoyment allures her again. So these 3 will not work. Then what he said? With knowledge. Higher test and knowledge. That is required. Then it will last. And Prabhupada anyway here quoted this, Bandhya ki bhujibe prasava vedana. That is the point of Daksha, isn't it? Bandhya ki bhujibe prasava vedana. Sometimes I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that a lady who is hospitalized, she sees another pregnant lady, she is having labor pain and she's shouting, all crying, and then she produces child also. So this Vanj lady, who is barren lady, she cannot produce a child. She is not pregnant. So she also imitates what she does. She puts cushion inside her sari, and as if she's pregnant, and she shouts, but she cannot cry the way the pregnant lady cries because she has really prasav vedana, whereas this lady is only imitation. So this is not going to work. Bandhya means a sterile woman. Such a woman cannot give birth to a child. How then can she perceive the pain of delivery? According to the philosophy of Prajapati Daksha, a woman should first become pregnant and then experience the pain of childbirth. Then if she is intelligent, she will not want to be pregnant again. But this doesn't happen at all. That somebody may not have devotion, but may make an artificial show of devotion. Sahajya type and others, so but that will not work because she's not pregnant. How can she cannot shout like the pregnant lady will shout. She can never deliver child anyway because there is no child only there. Sahajya, no? Sure, no? Or for that matter, any fake practitioner. Chanting intensely. What? Basically, Ati Bhakti, Chorer Lakshan also. Like His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu tells when he was in charge for Gurukuli boys. So children would come in the morning and they would sit in Japa for chanting in the Radha Gopinath temple in Mumbai. So there, one boy, he had a hand in the bead bag and he was like, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare. So Radha Gopinath Prabhu was watching. All children were peacefully chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But this boy was like very. So Radha Gopinath Prabhu felt little awkward. अरे क्या इतना क्यों? So then he called, hey, come here. अरे इतना जोर से जप नहीं करने का, थोड़ा ध्यान से धीरे से करो भाई, जैसे देखो बाकी लड़के कैसे कर रहे हैं वैसे करो, है ना. तो बीट्स भी है, बीट्स को भी थोड़ा है ना रिस्पेक्टेबल है, वर्शिपेबल है. थोड़ा दिखाओ बीट्स निकालो बाहर, बीट्स. तो लड़का हाथ ही नहीं बाहर निकाल रहा था. बोले अरे निकालो दिखाओ. बोले प्रभु जी अंदर बीट्स ही नहीं है. अरे फिर क्या कर रहा है? बोले हाँ प्रभु जी मेरे बीट्स कहीं तो खो गए, कोई पकड़ा ना जाओ इसलिए इतना जोर जोर से कर रहा हूँ जिससे कि सबको लगे कि बहुत अच्छे से जप कर रहा हूँ. तो फिर राधा को बोला कि जाओ बीट्स लेके आ जाओ, वहां से ले लो एक जगह से. So sometimes one may show a lot that he is great devotee, but that won't work because there is no devotion there. Then Prabhupada quotes Kripana, Trupyanti Neha Kripana, Bahu Dukkha Bhajah. Under the circumstances, unless one gets the association of a devotee like Narad Muni or his servant in the disciplic succession, one's dormant spirit of renunciation cannot be awakened. For this, Chakratipad writes, therefore you have no knowledge. Hear from me the royal path of detachment. Without having experienced how material enjoyment gives suffering, a person cannot know that condition. After understanding the suffering arising from enjoyment, he will become naturally detached. A person whose intelligence is torn apart by persons like you will not become naturally detached. One more point came in my mind today morning when he was giving Bhagavatam. I want to ask you that how somebody without undergoing the experience of the trouble, this is true to some extent anyway, when one suffers, one at least momentarily has some vairagya. How somebody could go on lifelong like that without undergoing materialistic life? Without undergoing materialistic life's troubles, pains, all that, how could one continue in ashram lifelong in the renounced order of life? Yes. Mercy of Swiji Master. Okay. By hearing. So how some people are first class, how are some are second class, how some are third class, how some are fourth class? What is the factor? Surrender. Surrender to the instruction. Attract the grace. Okay. Previous momentum means those who are
Like
yeah.
90% is done, then 5% we can push and adjust.
So 90% is done when?
Example I'm giving, like in the previous life or till now.
This is what I was looking for. In previous life, somebody might have already gone through all this. So now in this life, he will be very high class. He will be first class person. He has heard it all. He has gone through it. That Athva yogi nam eva kule bhavati dhimatam etadhi durlabhataram loke janma yadi drusham. And then next he says, what is that? Purvabhyasena teneva hriyate hi avashopi saha. पूर्वाभ्यास हो चुका है पहले भी इन प्रीवियस लाइफ, पूर्वाभ्यास इन प्रीवियस लाइफ ओनली. पूर्वाभ्यासेन तेनेव रियते हि अवशोऽपि सः. He will be helplessly attracted to devotional life. So for him, he doesn't have to go through the experience. He has gone through like that. Like don't quote, but some people say, I don't know about Radheshyam Prabhu, that in previous life he was sannyasi. He was Mathadipati. Somebody has been like that. Don't tell her my name. Anyway, they told. I only said he was something. They only told. And he himself told, no, okay, okay. So somebody has gone through in previous life. Then in this life, what will be the attraction to material life and why should he undergo all that? That is already gone through previous life. The conclusion is reached already. Some little bit might have remained, or maybe for youth preaching in Pune and the world, for that Krishna sent again. Acha, in this life. Yes. Yeah. Anyway, he's Matadish now also. Matadipati. Okay. So where? Which was the one? 41st, isn't it? Did we read the purport till end? Unless one gets the association of a devotee like Narad Muni or his servant in the disciple succession, one's dormant spirit of renunciation cannot be available. Did we read till end? It is not a fact that because material enjoyment involves so many painful conditions, one will automatically become detached. One needs the blessings of a devotee like Narad Muni. Then one can renounce his attachment for the material world. The young boys and girls in the Krishna consciousness movement have given up the spirit of material enjoyment, not because of practice, but by the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his servant. So Krupa Siddhi is the best.
One aspect is what you said, Pura Bhyasena, that one is their factor. But as here it is coming the point, like Prabhupada also was asked, what was our qualification? No, when many of them were able to renounce and all that. Prabhupada said, you did not have qualification, I created. So by the influence of a pure devotee, and the person is also ready because of the proper use of the free will. He's also ready, he's open. So in that case also, he may accumulate that Sukriti there only, and then he may also be able to understand. He may also become like first class, second class, that kind of thing. What is your comment?
It's a comment. No?
What is your comment?
What is the question?
What is your comment on that? This is also true, correct? No? That's what. Pura Besena is one aspect, and this aspect is also there.
It is something like who has undergone 11, 12 mathematics there. And what are that? Matrices, derivatives. And then he comes to engineering. Then he comes to first year of engineering. So for him, M1, M2, M3, mathematics 1, mathematics 2, mathematics 3 is very easy because he already knows matrices, derivatives, integration, etc. But some students from diploma, when they have not gone through 11, 12, after 10th, directly diploma, and there is not much mathematics. And directly they enter in second year of engineering, where there is directly M3, mathematics third, vectors, very, very difficult. But if they work very hard now, take shelter of friends and teachers, then they can pass through. They can easily pass. They can score also. And whereas those who have come from 11, 12, they may be very casual. We know everything. And they may fail also, right in M1 itself. Or if not, in M2 or M3. So both ways. There are two things talked in the scriptures. One is Daiva and other is Purushartha. Daiva means destiny, according to your previous Purvabhyas kind of. And Purushartha means now you endeavor. So if you endeavor now, particularly for the pleasure of Hari, Guru and Vaishnava, by their blessings, you can overcome any hurdle. Mat prasadat tarishyasi. Mat chitta sarva durgani. Mat prasadat tarishyasi. Whereas on the contrary, somebody has done Purvabhyas and now is very proud, then Athachetu Ahankara Nashroshyasi Vinangshasi. He doesn't hear, he'll perish. So what is required is current sincerity, whether it is coming because of the Purvabhyas or because of this life surrender to Hari Guru Vaishnavas. 41st. Srila Vishwanath Chakti Thakur Pad writes, therefore you have no knowledge, hear from me the royal path of detachment. Without having experienced how material enjoyment gives suffering, a person cannot know that condition. After understanding the suffering arising from enjoyment, he will become naturally detached. A person whose intelligence is torn apart by persons like you will not become naturally detached. What he says is true, but he doesn't understand the higher. Everything was anyway cleared in the morning class. So I'm going ahead. 42nd. Although I live in household life with my wife and children, I honestly follow the Vedic injunctions by engaging in fruitive activities to enjoy life without sinful reactions. I have performed all kinds of yagyas, including the Deva Yagya, Rushi Yagya, Pitru Yagya, and Dhru Yagya. Because these yagyas are called vratas, vows, I am known as a Griha Vrata. Unfortunately, you have given me great displeasure by misguiding my sons for no reason to the path of renunciation. This can be tolerated once. But this happened second time. That's why he faces difficulty. In the purport, Prabhupada says in the middle, after 2 lines, Grahamadis are satisfied with family life without spiritual advancement. And last line, he wanted to prove that Narad Muni, although dressed like a sadhu, was not actually a sadhu. He himself, although a householder, was a greater sadhu than Narad Muni. And in the commentary, Chakravartipad writes, I can give 4 times the result for whatever causeless enmity you have shown to me. Now he's showing his benevolence. And say how dani I am. I can give 4 times the results of whatever causeless enmity you have shown to me. But I will not do that. He's talking in terms of how great, how tolerant I am. See my tolerance as a householder. I follow the rules, sandhanam, on the path of karma. Another version has kartum andhanam. This means I do not know how to act inimically to others. I forgive, marshitam, you. I forgive you for your intolerable offense through you, though you are unworthy of the renounced order, intent on doing harm to others, and have broken the rules of Gyan and Bhakti. Then 43rd, he is giving curse to Narad Muni. That is the chapter name. Narada Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha. You have made me lose my sons once, and now you have again done the same inauspicious thing. Therefore, you are a rascal who does not know how to behave toward others. You may travel all over the universe, but I curse you to have no residence anywhere. Very bold. How many of you are happy if somebody says you will have no residence anywhere? You can travel all over the world. Who has to? Name is given in sannyas by Guru. How many? Raise your hand. Okay. So those who are raising hands, they can request the spiritual master to add their name in sannyas list. Then you can travel everywhere. Easily said than done. जब बीतती है ना तब पता चलता है, जिसकी जलती है उसको समझ में आता. It's not so easy. How many of you have traveled at a stretch? How many of you are 30 days out of Pune? Good. 40 days, 40. 50 days, 50. Really? 2 months, बस पार्टी. हाँ, okay, ठीक है. 60 days, 70 days. 70 days means? Really? कहाँ? हरिद्वार. Parvani. At a stretch, non-stop. Good. 80 days? No, 70 days. 70 days means around 2.5 months. Long period. Not so easy. याद आती है, अरे मंदिर में अच्छा था सब कुछ, इधर तो बहुत लेने के देर नहीं पड़ रहे. 1.5 year in Nagpur, that is different. Job na. After joining, anyway, you are detached from Gokul Dham, so you might be happy in Nagpur. That anyway, you had chosen to be in Gokul Dham. Gita contest. Okay, where? Okay, okay, good. But still, this is different. You could be out for 3 months at a stretch, 4 months, 5 months. Sometimes, traditionally, sannyasi means no matha only. Only keep travel, village to village, town to town. No, at least in ISKCON, we have some fixed place, our own place. Like every sannyasi, if you see, more or less, they are like one place. Like that Akinjan Krishnadas Maharaj means Juhu temple. Isn't it? Yes or not? Ananta, not Akinjan. Ananta Krishnadas Maharaj. That means that temple. Then who else? Bhakti-Rasa Maharaj Belgaon. Our Sri Krishna Chaitanya Swami, Pandharpur. He's anyway international traveler. He as a brahmachari also, I don't think he had a place. Isn't it? He was so much in demand. Poland, Indradumna Maharaj would call him and all that. He stayed in Radha Gopinath temple for 1 or 2 years also. But this is the curse. So then in the purport Prabhupada says, Daksha was a Grahamedi who wanted to remain in household life. He thought that if Narad Muni could not remain in one place, but had to travel all over the world, that would be a great punishment for him. Actually, however, such a punishment is a boon for a preacher. A preacher is known as Parivrajaka. Vraja means to go. Acharya, going. And Pari means around, all over. going round and round and round all over. Towards the end, Prabhupada says, if my young disciples, especially those who have taken sannyas, take charge of traveling all over the world, it may be possible for me to transfer the curse of the parents to these young preachers. Then I may sit down conveniently in one place for the work of translation. Prabhupada says, because I also made many brahmachari sannyasis, so many parents cursed me. I cannot stay in one place. Though we have beautiful Prabhupada quarters were there everywhere, but Prabhupada could not stay. Prabhupada is taking it out of humility. So he says, but now old age and I have to stay in one place and continue translation. So curse should be transferred to young disciples. He is basically inspiring them to take the preaching work seriously. 44th, Shri Shukdev Goswami continued, my dear king, since Narad Muni is an approved saintly person, when cursed by Prajapati Daksha, he replied, Tat Badham. Yes, what you have said is good. I accept this curse. He could have cursed Prajapati Daksha in return, but because he is a tolerant and merciful sadhu, he took no action. Prabhupada quotes Titikshava Karunika. Then he says, because Narad Muni is the most elevated of sadhus, devotees, to deliver Prajapati Daksha, he silently tolerated the curse. Trunadapi Shunichena. After translation, he said, following the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one who preaches the glories of the Lord all over the world or all over the universe should be humbler than grass and more tolerant than a tree, because a preacher cannot live an easygoing life. So this is what we should expect, not easygoing life. For that, we should keep moving, keep preaching. Then we'll have some struggle in life. Then Jagai Madai deliverance example. And last paragraph, Prabhupada writes, now it may be asked why Narad Muni stayed in the presence of Prajapati Daksha and tolerated all his accusations and curses. Was that for Daksha's deliverance? The answer is yes. He wanted him to vent out everything and then become devotee. Okay, that's the end of that chapter. Any question? We have one more chapter, which will go fast because hardly any purports. Any question on this? Okay, then we are moving to next 6th chapter, the progeny of the daughters of Daksha. How many daughters Daksha produced? 60. Why he produced only daughters? Fear of Narad Muni. If I have sons, Narad Muni will again make them brahmacharis or sannyasis. So this time, no sons, only daughters. So 1 to 45 is talking about descendants of the daughters of Daksha. 45 is the end, 45 verses only, and only mainly translations only. In that first 3 is Daksha and Asikni. Asikni is his wife, daughter of Panchajani. So they produce 60 daughters. Shri Shukdev Goswami said, my dear king, thereafter, at the request of Lord Brahma, Prajapati Daksha, who is known as Prachetas, begot 60 daughters in the womb of his wife Asikni. All the daughters were very affectionate toward their father. In the purport middle, Prabhupada says, females are not meant for the renounced order of life. They should be faithful to their good husbands, or if a husband is competent for liberation, his wife will also achieve liberation with him. Any example? Devoti got delivered. Then Prithu Maharaj and Archi, the demigoddesses from the top, they glorify also. Just see this pious and faithful chaste wife of Prithu is also following the path of her pious husband. She is going to the same destination. Gandhari, yeah, Gandhari also went. She entered in that fire, isn't it? Whether, but that is allegorical, but anyway, will do. They are not real characters. Okay. And then last, a woman's duty is to be very chaste and faithful to her husband. Then without separate endeavor, she will share in all the profit the husband earns. That's why she is called as Ardhangini. Half the pious credits of the husband go to wife, and half the sins of wife come to husband. So husband has to be very powerful, isn't it? So wife doesn't have to worry much. She has to just faithfully serve her husband. And but husband should be very powerful. Then it will be helpful. In the commentary, Chakravarti says the sixth chapter describes the descendants of Daksha's daughters, amongst whom Twashta was born to Aditi. Though Daksha became disgusted with household life, on the order of Brahma, he again took up household life, thinking that Narada would not give up his hostility and worrying that again his sons would disappear, he bore daughters only in his wife. Second, he gave 10 daughters in charity to Dharmaraj. Now you see the calculation, 60 daughters. 10 daughters in charity to Dharmaraj, that is Yamraj. So 10. 13 to Kashyap. First 12 and then one more. So how many total? 23. 27 to the moon god. To Chandra. How many? 27. So how much? 50. 50. And 2 each to Angira, Krushashva and Bhuta. 56. 2 2. 2 to Angira, 2 to Krushashva and 2 to Bhuta. So 56. The other 4 daughters were given to Kashyap. How many? 60. 56 plus 4, 60. Thus Kashyap received 17 daughters in all. Pehle 14, 13, 13 plus 4, 17. Now please hear from me the names of these daughters and their descendants who filled all the 3 worlds. By the way, these 27 wives of moon god, they are what? Star, nakshatras. 27 nakshatra. Moon every day passes through one nakshatra. Husband stays with wife for 1 day. Like that, moon spends 1 month. 27 nakshatras. And then one more is there? 28. Yeah. So now 4 to 10 is talking about Yamraj's 10 wives and their descendants. Yamraj married 10 wives. The 10 daughters given to Yamraj were named Bhanu, Lamba, Kakuda, Yami, Vishwa, Sadhya, Marutwati, Vasu, Muhurta, and Sankalpa. Now here the names of their sons. Names of these wives' sons. O king, a son named Deva Rushabha was born from the womb of Bhanu, and from him came a son named Indrasen. From the womb of Lamba came a son named Vidyota, who generated all the clouds. Vidyot produced all the clouds. Father of clouds is Vidyot. From the womb of Kakud came the son named Sankat, whose son was named Kikat. From Kikat came the demigods named Durga. From Yami came the son named Swarga, whose son was named Nandi. The sons of Vishwa were the Vishwadevas, who had no progeny. From the womb of Sadhya came the Sadhyas, who had a son named Arthasiddhi. For that 6th one, he is saying, from Kikata came many Durgas, who are Devtas representing Durga. So now many Durgas are there who represent Durga. 8th one. The 2 sons who took birth from the womb of Marutwati were Marutwan and Jayanta. Jayanta, who is an expansion of Lord Vasudev, is known as Upendra. But this Upendra is different from Aditi's son, Upendra, Vamandev. The demigods named the Mahurtikas took birth from the womb of Muhurta. These demigods deliver the results of actions to the living entities of their respective times. Then 11 to 16, 6 verses about descendants of the 8 Vasus. The son of Sankalpa was known as Sankalpa, and from him lust was born. The sons of Vasu were known as the 8 Vasus, Ashtavasus. Just hear their names from me: Drona, Prana, Dhruva, Arka, Agni, Dosha, Vastu, and Vibhavasu. From Abhimati, the son of the Vasu named Drona, were generated the sons named Harsha, Shoka, Bhaya, and so on. Then 12th. Urjaswati, the wife of Prana, gave birth to 3 sons named Saha, Ayus, and Purojava. The wife of Dhruva was known as Dharani, and from her womb various cities took birth. From Dharani, cities took birth. Jai. Dharani Sutta Vividha Puraha. They took birth. Ahead we will see na how Garudji and others are born. आदमी या स्त्री से कैसे पंछी पैदा हो सकता है? दिस इज हाउ द क्रिएशन इज ना. तो सिटीज भी वैसे बर्थ लिए. यस. They are very auspicious. They are all auspicious. That's what I was about to say. If some children are born, boy or girl, we can give these names, some of these names. If the parents are not happy about direct Krishna's names or Radharani's names, then some of these names can also be given. These are all special. But certainly not like Shoka Bhaya and all. Parents will be upset. Arey, ye kya hai? Like the Harsha Shok was given. But Chitrakit was happy with that. Chalega. He did not understand what it means. 13th. From the womb of Vasana, the wife of Arka, came many sons, headed by Tarsha. Dhara, the wife of the Vasu named Agni, gave birth to many sons, headed by Dravinaka. From Kruttika, another wife of Agni, came the son named Skanda. Skanda, you know? Huh? Kartikeya. Kartikeya is from Lord Shiva's semen. But what happened? It went floating and ultimately taken care by Kruttikas. How many? 6 or how many? Few of them were there. They were very happy to have received this son of Shiva, and they raised him nicely. That's why his name became Kartikeya. Though son of Shiva, but he was raised by these Kruttikas. That is, she was wife of Agni. So from Skanda came Kartikeya, whose sons were headed by Vishakha. Came the son named Shishumar, who was an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From Angirasi, the wife of the Vasu named Vastu, was born the great architect Vishwakarma. See, Vishwakarma's mother is? Huh? Vastu, isn't it? From Angirasi, the wife of the Vasu named Vastu. Okay, the father is Vastu and wife is Angirasi and their son is Vishwakarma. So Vastu Shastra we say. So he is Vishwakarma. He is the architect for demigods mainly. Vishwakarma became the husband of Akruti, from whom the Manu named Chakshus was born. The sons of Manu were known as the Vishwadevas and Sadhyas. For this, Chakravarti says Vishwakarma was the husband of Akruti, who gave birth to Chakshus Manu. Though Chakshus was born in Dhruva's lineage, he was also born in the lineage like Daksha and Vashishta. 16th, Usha, the wife of Vibhavasu, gave birth to 3 sons, Vyushta, Rochisha, and Atapa. From Atapa came Panchayama, the span of the day, who awakens all living entities to material activities. How many of you heard this word Yama? Yam, Panchayam. Yeah, proceeding, yeah. Prasadam hall mein. Their anime commentary is revealing 16th one. From Atapa was born Panchayama. There are 5 yamas, 3-hour periods in a day, which includes dawn and dusk. That leaves night with 3 yamas. So in a day, yet 8 yamas. Ashtayam, is there some word? No. Huh? Okay. Yatayama. Okay. Then this is talking about Bhuta's 2 wives. Sarupa, the wife of Bhuta, gave birth to the 10 million Rudras. Ribol. 10 million means how many? 1 crore. Ribol. Of whom the 11 principal Rudras were Raivata, Aja, Bhava, Bhima, Vama, Ugra, Rushakapi, Ajay Kapat, Ahirbradna, Bahurupa, and Mahan. Sometimes they ask who are the 11 Rudras. Was anyone asked? Once I was asked. I said, I don't know. I know only Virabhadra. But here Virabhadra is there or not? He's not there. They're also there. Okay. But here he's saying 11 principal Rudras and their names are given. Their associates, the ghosts and the goblins, who are very fearful, were born of the other wife of Bhuta. Purport. Srila Vishnu Chakra Thakur comments that Bhuta had two wives. One of them, Sarupa, gave birth to the 11 Rudras, and the other wife gave birth to the associates of the Rudras, known as the ghosts and hobgoblins. For 1718, he says, Bhuta had two wives, Daksha's daughters. From Sarupa came the Rudras headed by the 11 Rudras, from Raivat to Mahan. From the other wife came other associates of Rudra. 19th, he's talking about Angira's two wives. The Prajapati Angira had two wives named Swadha and Sati. The wife named Swadha accepted all the Pitas as her sons, and Sati accepted the Atharvangiras Veda as her son. In the commentary, Chakratipa says, Angiras had two wives names Swadha and Sati. Swadha gave birth to the Pitrus. Then 20th is about Krushashwa's two wives. Krushashwa had two wives named Archis and Dhishana. In the wife named Archis, he begot Dhumaketu, and in Dhishana, he begot four sons named Vedashira, Devala, Vayuna, and Manu. Dhumketu, what is that? Comet. Huh? Meteor. Meteor is different. The comet, na? Comet is Dhumketu. Meteor. Ulkapat ko meteor falling कहते हैं ना. Ulkapat is, I think, Ulka is different, I think. Dhumketu is comet. Then 21st and 22nd talk about Kashyapa's four wives and their descendants. Kashyapa, who is also named Taraksha, had four wives. Vinata, her name is Suparna, another name. That's why Garudji's one name is Vainateya and Suparna. Suparna. Nice, what do you call, wings. But that is also coming because her name is Suparna, or maybe the other way also. Then these four wives are Vinata, Kadru. How many of you heard the story of Vinata and Kadru? It's very famous, that nectar and all that. Okay, Patangi and Yamini. Patangi gave birth to many kinds of birds. And Yamini gave birth to locusts. Locusts means grasshoppers. कैसे माता जी ने कैसे पैदा किया होगा, लेकिन Lord's arrangement. Vinata, Suparna, gave birth to Garuda, the carrier of Lord Vishnu, and to Anuru or Aruna. Who is Aruna? Charioteer of sun god. That many pastimes are there related to that. And anyway, the fifth canto also described, isn't it? All the details. The chariot driver of the sun god. Kadru gave birth to different varieties of serpents. Who is the most famous? Kaliya. Like that. Is Anantashesh also? Anantashesh also. But one is divine, the other is all this. Then 23rd. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of the Bharats, the constellations named Krittika were all wives of the moon god. However, because Prajapati Daksha had cursed him to suffer from a disease causing gradual destruction, the moon god could not beget children in any of his wives. Read the purport.
Because the moon god was very much attached to Rohini, he neglected all his other wives. Therefore, seeing the bereavement of these daughters, Prajapati Daksha became angry and cursed him.
Cursed him to suffer from consumption, kshaya. which wastes the body away. Thus he did not bear children in them. So no children. Kshaya, what is the Kshaya? Cancer. That is TB. Tuberculosis is called as Kshaya Rog. Cancer is different. That is Karka Rog. What is Kshaya Rog? Kshaya. Phases, no? All this, huh? Huh? TB only. He had proper TB. Tuberculosis. Weight also. So it did not, then what is this colors, 16 colors related to? This only, no? Yes. 24 to 29 is about Kashyapa's further 10 wives and their descendants. Yeah, that I already discussed. No? He was attached to Rohini more, one of the wives, and other wives were upset. So Daksha cursed him to suffer from consumption, which wastes the body away. Little more clarification will come. Thereafter, the king of the moon pacified Prajapati Daksha with courteous words and thus regained the portions of light he had lost during his disease. So here it is clear that Shaya Rog means he had portions of light he would lose. But by the mercy of he had lost his wings. I think Kashyap helped him. Okay, he anyway, his father-in-law, isn't it? So he pacified. So then he got. Nevertheless, he could not beget children. The moon loses his shining power during the dark fortnight, and in the bright fortnight, it is manifest again. O King Parikshit, now please hear from me the names of Kashyapa's wives, from whose wombs the population of the entire universe has come. So regarding this, Chakravarti says the moon god regained portions of his light, Kalaha, but could not bear children. These portions of light are whittled away, Ditaha, during the waning phase of the moon. Another version has Kshayai Dhita. After waning, the phases of the moon increase. The descendants of Kashyapa's 13 wives are now described, taking the easier ones first in the manner of the needle and the cauldron. There is one Nyaya. Anybody knows? Shuchi Katha Nyaya. I could not find any details, so I'll go ahead. They are the mothers of almost all the population of the entire universe, and their names are very auspicious to hear. See, here it is coming. Somebody had asked. No? They are Aditi, Diti, Danu. So from Aditi came Adityas. From Diti came Daityas. From Danu came Danavas, Kashtha, Arishtha, Surasa, Ila, Muni, Krodha Vasha, Tamra, Surabhi, Sarma, and Timi. From the wombs of Timi, all the aquatics took birth. Haribol. And from the womb of Sarma, the ferocious animals like the tigers and lions took birth. So if you see these tigers, lions, and all, they have Sanskrit words. That has something to do. Saram, something, I don't remember now. But some words are there because they have been born from Sarama. Swapadan. Shwapad. That is Shwapad is. But Sarma also is there. Something is there because their mother is Sarma. So they also have some name related. 27. My dear King Parikshit, from the womb of Surabhi, the buffalo, cow, and other animals with cloven hooves took birth. From the womb of Tamra, the eagles, vultures, and other large birds of prey took birth. And from the womb of Muni, the angels took birth. 28. The sons born of Krodhavasha were the serpents known as Danda Shuka, as well as other serpents and the mosquitoes. All the various creepers and trees were born from the womb of Ila, The Rakshasas, bad spirits, were born from the womb of Surasa. Dandashuka, you have heard? Huh? They sting mosquitoes. Dandashuka. Yeah, mosquitoes. 29 to 37 is about Kashyap and Danu. The Gandharvas were born from the womb of Arishta, and animals whose hooves are not split, such as the horse, were born from the womb of Kashtha. Who are the animals whose hooves are split? Cows. And horses, one full. One full. No? Yes. We have to see this in nature. Third canto also given. Okay. O king, from the womb of Danu came 61 sons, of whom these 18 were very important. Dvimurdha, Shambar, Arishta, Hayagriva, Vibhavasu, Ayomukha, Shankushira, Swarabhanu, Kapila, Aruna, Puloma, Vrushaparva, Ekachakra, Anutapan, Dhumrakesha, Virupaksha, Viprachitti, and Durjaya. 32. The daughter of Swarabhanu, named Suprabha, was married by Namuchi. The daughter of Rushaparva, named Sharmishtha, was given to the powerful king Yayati, the son of Nahusha. 33 to 36. Vaishwanara, the son of Danu, had 4 beautiful daughters named Upadanavi, Hayashira, Puloma, and Kalaka. Hiranyaksha married Upadanavi and Kratu married Hayashira. Thereafter, at the request of Lord Brahma, Prajapati Kashyap married Puloma and Kalaka, the other 2 daughters of Vaishwanara. That means who? Huh? Seems like that. Isn't it that Vaishwanara is Krishna, he says. This is son of Danu. We'll have to check that. From the wombs of these 2 wives of Kashyap came 60,000 sons, headed by Nivata Kavacha, who are known as the Paulomos and the Kalakiyas. They were physically very strong and expert in fighting, and their aim was to disturb the sacrifices performed by the great sages. My dear king, when your grandfather Arjun went to the heavenly planets, he alone killed all these demons, and thus King Indra became extremely affectionate toward him. So in the commentary, Chakravarti says, Vaishwanar was another son of Danu. Because he was ordered by Brahma, Kashyap married Vaishwanara's daughters, who were his granddaughters. So Kashyap married his granddaughters. Through them, he bore 60,000 Nivata Kavachas. Arjun, your grandfather, killed them when he went to Swarga. 37th. In his wife Simika, Viprachitti begot 101 sons, of whom the eldest is Rahu, and the others are the 100 Ketus. All of them attained positions in the influential planets. 38 to 44 is about Kashyap and Aditi. In that first 2, 38, 39. Now please hear me as I describe the descendants of Aditi in chronological order. In this dynasty, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan descended by his plenary expansion. The names of the sons of Aditi are as follows: Vivaswan, Aryama, Pusha, Twashta, Savita, Bhaga, Dhata, Vidhata, Varuna, Mitra, Shatru, and Urukrama. 40th. Samnya, the wife of Vivaswan, the sun god, gave birth to the Manu named Shraddha Dev. Another name is Vaivaswat Manu from Vivaswan. And the same fortunate wife also gave birth to the twins Yamaraj and the river Yamuna. Then Yami, while wandering on the earth in the form of a mare, gave birth to the Ashwini Kumaras. Who is Yami? Yamuna only. Eh? She gave birth to Ashwini Kumaras. Commentary, nothing. Huh? Acha, in the river Yamuna bracket Yami is written. Yeah. But how she gave birth to Ashwini Kumaras? Anybody has heard story? We'll go ahead then. 41. Chaya, another wife of the sun god, begot two sons named Shanishchara. Who is Shanishchara? Shani. And Savarani Manu. And one daughter, Tapati, who married Samvaran. 42nd. From the womb of Matruka, the wife of Aryama, were born many learned scholars. Among them, Lord Brahma created the human species, which are endowed with an aptitude for self-examination. Aryama is the one who had taken the post of Yamaraj when Yamaraj was cursed to be Vidura by Manduk Muni. From the two, Aryama and Matruka were born sons who knew what to do and what not to do. Charshanaya Nayaha. Among some of them who were interested in pursuing spiritual life, Brahma produced the human race. Shruti says, Purushatve Chavistaram Atma. Search for Atma is manifested more in the human form. Aitreya Aranyaka. That Aitreya is one. Atreya. 43rd. Pusha had no sons. When Lord Shiva was angry at Daksha, Pusha had laughed at Lord Shiva and shown his teeth. Therefore, he lost his teeth and had to live by eating only ground floor. If you remember that Daksha Yagya, these details were there. Then next 44th. Huh? Yeah, how can you laugh at Lord Shiva? No, Pusha had no sons. He lost his teeth. That is written. But for whatever that is just mentioned. At least doesn't seem like that. He already did not have sons. But when he went in that Daksha Yagya, he laughed there. So he lost teeth. And he had to eat only ground floor. 44th. Rachana, the daughter of the Daityas, became the wife of Prajapati Twashta. By his semina, he begot in her womb two very powerful sons named Sannivesha and Vishwarupa. Vishwarupa we know, he performed that yagya. So Rachana, the daughter of the Daityas, was the wife of Twashta. From the two of them, two sons were born. And last, although Vishwarup was the son of the daughter of their eternal enemies, the demons, the demigods accepted him as their priest in accordance with the order of Brahma when they were abandoned by their spiritual master Brihaspati, whom they had disrespected. So just because of this one line, one shloka, what happens? Now next whole thing will come up. Parikshit Maharaj is very inquisitive and very eager. So he asks and the whole thing will be told. I don't know in how many chapters? At least few chapters. Indra offending Brihaspati and then that Vritrasur and all that. So any question? Thus we have successfully, so to say, gone quickly. Rapid, what they call rapid round. Rapid fire round. आग लगी कि नहीं आपके इसमें? Rapid fire में. No problem. Yes. Kashyapa married Twashta. What is the problem? What problem do you have? His daughter, he can marry to anyone. That way, then so many others are there, na? Diti from Diti, Kashyap married Diti only. Forget about that fellow, but he only married Diti and from her Daityas came. So many things. Na? This is all to be seen in a transcendental way because that is how all these personalities will come. Na? If you see in this, both sides are there. Glorious sons are there and some notorious also. Like Kaduru has all these Kaliya kind of fellows. And many other Kaliya, isn't it? In that pastime, if you know that white horse was there, and in order to prove her words, all the serpents wrapped or whatever, embraced that. So how many of them were there? Several of them. So they are of one category. Yes.
Personalities like Harsha, Shoka, like cities, are they like presiding personalities of those
Yeah.
things?
Yes.
Harsha?
Like Yamuna also, na? In one sense, she's water, but in another sense, she's Devi. Ganga also, like that. They have their personification forms. They are in some other place and all. They have their family, that's where they are there. But wherever else they are required, they are in the other form. I also don't remember clearly, little bit here and there we have heard. You can tell, you know, no? He will tell. Take the mic. Huh? That whole thing. These were two sisters, Kadru and Vinta, isn't it? And there was some argument. Argument was on from that horse only,
Horse
na?
only.
Whether it's white. Huh?
Ucheshrava.
Uchishra was the horse. Okay, white
Right.
one. She
So-
Kadru said he's black, and she said
White.
white. And then to prove her word, she told her son, go and embrace her. So it looked back, and Kadru, Vinta lost. So in return,
Or last they should become servant.
servant of the other. So Vinta became servant of Kadru. Now, if she has to be relieved,
When Garuda was born, at that time he was so powerful, but because his mother is a servant, he has to be under snakes. So he didn't like that. So he wanted to get relief.
Who? Garuda.
Garuda. He wanted to get relief his mother also from the slavery. Then he asked snakes, so you please tell me what I should do so that we'll be free from this slavery. Then they thought and they told, okay, you bring Amrita from heavenly planets, give us, then you can be free. Then Garuda, he went to heavenly planets and he fought. Many demigods are protecting the nectar, breaking. So many systems were there. So he broke and he carrying. While coming, Indra left. He attacked with thunderbolt. So although Garuda is not affected, he left feather. They're so beautiful. So all sages called Suparna, seeing that, no, such a beautiful feather. That's one of the names. Then Indra then I asked, why are you taking this nectar? We're going to become free from slavery. Then don't worry. Then you take them, but don't give to them. You put them and tell them to go and take bath. So then I will do needful. Then he goes and gives the nectar, and they're coming to take nectar. You don't know new etiquettes. You should go and take bath and then come and drink nectar. Then they all go to take bath, and
meanwhile
Indra comes and he takes back.
Hold that.
And then when snakes come back, they say nothing is there. They kept on a darba grass. So they go and start licking the grass. And something may be fallen. The tongue was like
bifurcated. That's why the snakes have tongue bifurcated, because they tried to lick that amrut from grass. The grass bifurcated their tongue.
In that way, they lost amrut also. And then Garuda, Indra was so pleased. He asked, please ask a benediction from to Garuda. Then he asked, let snakes be my natural food. Because there's so much this trouble, Garuda and mother. Indra
Yes.
says, so be it.
Haribol. Happy? Yes. Any other? There are millions of stories in the scriptures, Puranas. Mind-boggling. There are some glimpses of that. Bhagavatam just goes to the core, directly, devotional part. Yes.
Is it that being Prajapati, he could choose a daughter or son like that? Prajapati, Daksha?
Yeah, he's not an ordinary person. He has that choice. Ordinary fellows cannot have that. Prajapatina is the master of all the praja. So master has that potency. Any other? Okay. Okay, so I end here. Thank you all very much for all your kind cooperation, attendance, attention. And sorry for the rapid fire round almost all throughout. We got 344 pages to cover. And more than Prabhupada's purpose, I wanted to go myself through this commentary of Vishwanath Thakur and also present in the limited time. So thank you for giving that opportunity. Very grateful to His Grace Om Shodham Prabhu and Yugal Sham Prabhu and all of you for this. Thank you all very much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai.
Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai,
Jai.
Nitai Go Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Let us thank His Grace Sundar Prabhu. Since 5 days, at least on an average, one chapter per day. So with the his practical realizations and the purport of Srila Prabhupada and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur commentary. So for continuously 5 days, we had nectar. So let us express our gratitude by once chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Sham Prabhu is happy or not? Syllabus done. Done. थोड़ा कम कर सकते हैं सिलेबस जिससे कि आदमी थोड़ा क्या कहते हैं ब्रीथ ले सके कैन ब्रीथ एनीवे यू आर हेल्पलेस एमआईसी का है क्या डिजाइन